Welcome to Sentient Trails, an outdoors long-form podcast in pursuit of the wisdom present in our bodies, in our emotions, and in the land. This is a conversation with Nathan Hayes. He's a philosopher, a facilitator of Dialogos, authentic relating, circling, and breathwork. He's the host of Choose Your Chaos YouTube channel, and he works in an underage residential care facility in Sligo, in the north of Ireland. He's a true polymath with a sense of duty to be of service to his community through the love of wisdom. I met Nathan through a common interest in the work of cognitive scientist John Vervaeke, known for his series Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. He hosts a weekly Dialogos online practice where, in a Socratic and very compassionate manner, we help birth a wisdom present in us all, and those sessions never disappoint, bringing wonder, gratitude, and love for being human as we deep into the paradoxes and contradictions. I'm also proud to call him a dear friend, and we share a common love and passion for martial arts. In this episode, I have to say, the experience has truly made my head spin, and I think you will hear my excitement and innocence interjecting here and there. As previously stated, I'm here to learn, and I hope you get to hear the sincerity and the signal through the noise. This session felt very magical, with the land and the spirit speaking through us in tongue-in-cheek at times, and with deep wisdom inquiries and others. So I think it was all worth it. May our ideas stretch, our emotions flow, and our bodies re-energize. And without further ado, let's greet the land. Caracil! My name is Underage, son of a trickster father and explorer, and a stoic warrior with a kind heart. Be kind to me, be kind to us, be good to us. We're here on a quest for wisdom and compassion and truth. I'm here through the kind invitation from Nathan Hayes. Perhaps you want to greet the land?
Caracil, my old friend, once again, beautiful as always. Thank you so much for all that you've given so far. Today I hope that you feed my soul once more, and keep me going on the path.
Let's go. So we are in the northwest of Ireland, near Sligo, between Boyle and Sligo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's the tourist. Yeah, no, if you ask the neighbor, they'll say, no, I'm not from Sligo. But
much closer to Boyle.
I have to say, like, this is stunning landscape. This is you have to imagine, if you're listening to this, a very, like a valley that has been carved by glaciers, and that is now just a couple of hills, sheep reverberating, Hawthorn bushes, very romantic landscape, very epic.
Yeah, so from one of the angles up here, you can see that it looks like a woman lying down. So you can see her head, her shoulders, and her hips. And it's another mountain that you can climb. It's beautiful up there as well, but we're here today because we have like 17 cairns up on top of this. So cairns are the old kind of Celtic tombs. These are actually slightly older than the pyramids, so these are 3000 BC, roughly.
So they're man-made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this would have been a place, again, if you imagine all the way back then, that what would have been to, like we drove here today, what would have been here to really hike, or to like walk it, to hike it, to really kind of quest up to the ancestors, up to generations gone by, whether they were royalty, whether they were family, and trying to pick it up. But yeah, I was going to say the reason why this is so untouched and so kind of wild, like they do call it the Wild Atlantic Way, the west of Ireland. But this mountain in particular is because it's 3 brothers that own it, and they keep all the sheep that you see, and they have it open to the public, but there's no commercial kind of thing to it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It is very much like a hidden gem. So, and it's been a source of a lot of good work for myself.
So, yeah.
So as I was saying, like we have like a path for like the first kind of 3/4 of it.
Yep.
It's about 2 kilometers of a walk, roughly. But the last bit then is just marsh and bog, climbing up on top. And you get to see there's 2 of them that were blown up by the English when they came over, because they were like old ancient tombs.
Oh.
Surely there's gold and jewels and all of these things buried with them, like we can make ourselves rich.
Yeah.
And then they opened them up with dynamite and found out that's not exactly the way the Celts worked.
Yeah.
The Celtics were more about a different type of richness.
Okay. What would say is the richness of the Celts? What were they all about?
Well, see, this is something I've actually kind of struggled with myself. I can remember I went to a fleadh, 2-3 years ago, and it really hit me, it really dawned on me.
You went to a fleadh?
A fleadh is, or like, it's a week of Irish music competitions, and it's very traditional. And it moves around Ireland, so each town gets it for 2 years, and then it moves to a different town. It's a week-long festival, but very old Irish sort of stuff. And I was at it, and I was having a drink, Guinness, of course. But I was looking around, and you just had like 1 or 2 kind of drunk souls who were pretending to do Irish dancing, but they had lost all of the jigs and the reels. They'd lost, we've lost the connection with that. Luckily in Ireland, we've only lost it for, say, 2 generations. So like my grandparents would have known all of these dances, all of these old songs, all of these old stories. So the whole Industrial Revolution didn't hit us till the 90s is when we kind of modernized, and we had the Celtic Tiger then, which was a source of immense wealth that came into Ireland.
The European Union subsidies.
All of that, yes. So we've lost contact, like all the world has kind of lost contact with their like lived heritage in service of this kind of industrial sort of thing. So I was at this fleadh, and I was kind of noting this, and I was like, this is strange. Like, I love the music, and it's what I would have known as a kid and all of this sort of stuff. And you can kind of, like, if you've ever watched the movie The Titanic, like, it kind of has that feel of being in the bottom of the Titanic, where all the poor people are dancing and kind of yipping and howling and all of this sort of stuff. It does have some of that, but it's lost some of it.
Yeah.
Not in the music, but in the participation of the crowd itself.
Yeah.
And then I went to this retreat, and it was like a workshop day.
Okay.
Where it was all meditations and yogas, and I actually did a communication workshop there as well. Got everyone. I was on about the difference in communication, the way that you've information communication, where it's just pure surface level. I want a coffee, here's the money, thank you. It's just transactional. And then you get family communication, where if you say I'm having a good day, your mom or your dad knows the 10 different variations of how you speak those words. And then going down into sacred communication, which is the kind of fellowship of, do you know what we're doing? It's like, well, I'm trying, but I don't know.
The meta
And
discussions,
you get to kind of commune around that. So I did, and it was really good. I really enjoyed that day. But that evening, they had a band called Bog Bodies playing in an old abandoned church. And it was Celtic. It was truly Celtic.
So
where they were dividing the crowd, getting them to harmonise and loop over each other.
Is that like Kaylee's? Is that the same thing?
A a.k.a. would be more structured, very traditional. This is new music.
Okay.
So this is, they come up, they're an original band, they're their own band.
Okay.
But it's heavily inspired. Kira, the singer in it, or one of the singers, her and her cousin, but she will speak like Irish poetry. There's a lot of kind of even just singing your vowels, your kind of like this kind of sacred sort of sounds and stuff like that. But it's all with this heavy Celtic undertone, this beat, this bowron. So our ears now would kind of hear it almost kind of like techno. It's just so heavy on the kind of bass to it.
Yeah.
And then it has a fiddle, and it has the guitar, and it has all of this. And in that, you felt you were in the belly of an absolute beast, because everyone was yipping and howling, and there was a spirit in it. And I walked out of the place because it was intense. And I walked out and I took a moment, and it just reminded me, and I was like, holy crap, the Celtic heritage, the Celtic thing that they were all about. There's a wild aggression in it that you're just like, how do you harness that? How do you hold that? Like, what do you actually do with that? Because I can understand, and also Ireland has a kind of complicated history as well, in the fact that, like, when the English came over, and then you have the whole rebellion, and you have the Civil War and all of this afterwards. So a lot of the Celtic, or that spirit, would have metabolized into a very rebellious music. So to come back to it in a more kind of sacred or spiritual way, you have to kind of get around, like keep the wildness, because you can't just sterilize it. But our last kind of felt memory of it was this heavily anti-English, or this kind of heavily anti-colonial, or anti-systems sort of thing, which is what it was, but it's just, that's not what the Celts built, because the Celts also had an actual society. Like, they had like tribes, they had like
kings and
like everything in the Middle Ages.
Or,
I'm not trying to say it was
romantic
anything. I'm not trying to romanticize it. But it's just the sense that there was so much destruction in Ireland that the music itself kind of holds that destruction a wee bit in the memory, even though, of course, no one alive now has ever experienced any of those things. But as you tap into the last version of it, you're getting that, that's your Hawthorn tree. So, sorry, if that's what you're looking for.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
The berries, so this is, they're obviously after shedding. We're in October now, so the leaves have gone, but you can still make tea from the berries.
Yes, exactly.
It's a different type of Hawthorn tea, but it's still
or
quite
some
nice.
kind of jam and.
Actually, I'll take a break from the Celtic story.
Yeah, that's the.
We were talking yesterday, I believe, about you said grief and love.
Yeah.
Usually I pair it as grief and beauty. But this tree is meant to be for grief.
Oh.
So it is meant to be the letting go. It is meant to be the shedding. It is meant to be.
Is that because it's blossoming now in fall, or what is it?
It's just in Ireland. You had like different trees had different spirits, and the hawthorn tree is meant to be your fairy spirit. It's meant to be your trickster.
Okay.
It's meant to be all of these things, and I suppose the trickster energy is the thing that says, "Hey, by the way, don't get stuck. Like, let it go.
Yes.
Don't be so rigid.
This is not
don't
yours,
be so.
This is somebody else at play.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a game.
Yeah.
You have to give it back.
So for that reason, I think it's grief that's associated with it. And I suppose also because we are going up to the cairns, so like they are very much on these sacred mountains, like a lot. If you go to the Hill of Tara, it's basically surrounded by hawthorn trees.
I feel so distracted by, but also harmonized, because I hear you and I listen to that.
Birds?
Yeah, the great teeth talking to each other, but it could be a robin. But I was mesmerized because it really sounds like a conversation. Every sentence is different.
Yeah.
That's a complex sentence, right?
They're just wondering why there's two apes up on the mountain.
Yeah, or like, did you catch anything? Like, are you sure? I'm still like, oh, you know, storytelling there, question, call and response. And you feel the emotion, the intonation. It's just like, those guys are sentient. I mean, sentient for sure. Conscious, likely. But you see that they're talking to each other from 50 meters apart. Like they know each other for long, like neighbors, like shepherds, telling, like, there is a world right next to us, commenting or having a completely different thing that is just right next to us. And they're 2 or 3 now.
If they were talking about us right now, what do you think they'd say?
See, you can only cling on the emotional that projection that I have on that up and down of their tweeting, right?
Yeah.
But you see that you can feel the emotion. That's only you can tell when you. It's like when you're watching a film in a foreign language. You don't know what they're talking about yet. You can grasp through the body language, except that here, I don't see them. But that's already fantastic. Like, we are in somebody else's land.
Yep.
Literally, culturally for me, but also like this thing is having the same expression of the land, speaking through their bird needs, and we see we're sharing this landscape. So continue on that hawthorn bush grief.
Sure.
If that's a vine you
No, 100%. So I often pick the leaves. And then when I'm doing breath work, I'll bring these down as a tea, make tea out of it for the people doing it, and we do this as a way of like setting intention beforehand. And I've said this analogy multiple times now, but of grief and beauty being two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
And that if something wasn't beautiful, you wouldn't grieve it.
Yes.
Like, why would you? You wouldn't even notice it if it didn't catch your attention. That's what I mean by beauty.
Yes.
Then there'd be no grief to be had.
Okay.
But then on the other side, if something is truly beautiful, you grieve it in the moment.
Yeah.
Because if you've been struck by music or been struck by the birds here, you might hear those birds again, and it might still strike you, but maybe just not in the exact same way, in that whole way that you can't step in the same river twice.
Yes.
So to really have a moment of beauty is to have grief be very present in it.
Yeah.
So that tends to be the way I use the hawthorn.
What I'm curious about is why is it not love? What is love different from beauty for you? Why do you make the distinction? I could be wrong. Maybe it's beauty all along.
Well, I suppose if I That's just the language that came to me as I've worked with it.
Yep.
So if I then try to translate and just exchange the words, if I say to really love is to have grief be very present in it,
Yes.
it strikes me as true.
You think
But it
beauty is
feels
more
like-
powerful than love, or more practical, maybe? More.
No, I just mean
More-
that if you grieve as you love, there's some part of love that doesn't fit into that box for me.
Okay.
Because love is also the joy and celebration.
Okay.
Where for me, when I get struck by beauty, it is very obvious to me that grief is present.
Okay.
Now, it totally makes sense the other way around. Like,
Yeah.
if you grieve something, then surely you loved it. Like,
Yes.
that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's just something when I flip that coin where I'm like,
Yeah. The angle of beauty feels more true, or
yeah,
easy to work with, perhaps.
yeah.
So what I'm after is like, well, what is your definition of love then?
Well, I suppose I'll go with the old-fashioned Greek breakdown
Okay.
of eros, philia, and agape.
Yeah.
But in that, like, there's a trinity in that.
Yeah.
So just by its nature, it kind of evades an easy answer. Because any one of those kind of doesn't necessarily fit into the others.
Yeah.
So love is a complex.
Yeah.
I agree, like, as in, like, many people believe like love is the foundation, it's the it's the root. But for an easy answer to all that, I haven't got there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And please do share if you ever find that.
Well,
So we're going to turn off here, as I said. So
Ooh,
this
that's
is
the
where the
buggy
path
one.
ends.
you think we can do this per feet? I'll try. If not, I'll.
We can. There's going to be a few moments where there's quite a lot of stones,
Okay. Well, a few moments I can handle.
but you can. Yeah. Okay.
Because sometimes, well, the shoes I have, I flip a coin and I accept. So I'm just gonna put those shoes in my bag. So this is gonna be noisy for a bit. So, what is love? Well, I feel like maybe you should lead the way. I feel like we've taken out our shoes to climb a part of this hill, and it's very welcoming. I just love how the softness of the earth is sinking in like a nice mattress. It's cold because we're in fall. It's overcast. The landscape is epic, and yeah, it's interesting, like doing this barefoot. Feels like see, my thoughts are rooted, constantly brought back to the sensation, micro discomforts or comforts of the land. So there is that chord is pressed at every word. So what was, you were wondering what is the Celtic spirit, because you didn't find it in the, let's say, the popular declination of it. Let's say the typical year festival. You call that a fay? Oh,
A fla.
fla, sorry. And almost feel like a pretext for getting out of your mind and just drinking like any other weekend, but with a little extra. Is that how I captured it? kind of.
Well,
Is that fair?
because of, again, Ireland's history,
Yeah.
a lot of Ireland's culture is kind of protected, and it's given grants, it's given all these things from the government. The Irish language is all but dead, with exceptions of a few towns, particularly along the west. But yet every primary school teacher needs to be fluent. And if you're able to do your school exams in Irish, you get extra points.
Okay.
If you're doing art or music or anything like that with an Irish heritage to it, again, you're kind of endorsed or you're given extra supports. So all of these things trying to make up for the loss, make up for that moment where we almost lost it, or lost significant chunks of it, or so it's kind of this cold memory of what it was. It's no longer from the root, it's no longer from the small towns, it's now this kind of encouraged, endorsed thing. And here we are at the first cairn.
And you contrasted that with that ecstatic experience you had in this other gathering.
Yes.
That was pagan-like, techno-like, but with traditional instruments, I understand.
Yeah.
And now there was something was being summoned. There was this hive energy that you get, I imagine, at a rave or a festival, but this is different. Some spirit was awakened from the music, the intention, the gathering, plus the land, and it was a totally different beast.
Yep.
And that set a footprint of like, this is what Celtic means.
Well, as I said, it put fear into me.
Oh, because you cannot control it. Or you don't know how to contain it, or how to, with that, because the necessary thing is like it feels like a total negation of, let's say, modern life, or the way things are being presented to us. Or am I going too far?
No, it's because there was a body that held.
Yeah.
There was something. And because we've lost so much of it, now the versions that we have that are, again, endorsed or kind of given these extra funds and stuff like that, they're like an animal in a zoo.
Yeah.
As in, like, they're kept, they're alive,
yes, they're tamed,
but their nature is different. Like, it still has the DNA of it. So I'm not trying to take away from that, as in, like, the heritage is true. It's not like it's fabricated, but it's just, it doesn't have this.
That's why it's really majestic, not through the little pop folkloric tune you play at the school.
Yes.
Yeah, now it's alive in you and everybody, and you look at each other, it's like, you know, and you know that I know, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you were at an ancient Greek celebration or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would have
Dionysus type of energy.
Well, yeah, but you'd also have Apollo, you'd have the perfect, you'd have the really aiming for the high, you'd have the one that loves the land, loves war even, like loves all of these different things. But there is this necessity for that Dionysian spirit to kind of have a place.
Yeah.
And yes, when I went to this festival, this one-day festival, and listened to that band, they had that part where it was very much in communion with the crowd, like the amount that they were singing, the fact that there's also this fact that they didn't know the words,
Oh. So they're like scatting.
No, but then there's this thing of...
Something is speaking in tongues.
Well, a certain amount of that. But as in, so then it's up for the storyteller, it's up for the musician,
Yes.
it's up for the bard
Yes.
to encourage the crowd to participate.
Yes.
And they were so good at that it did come to life. Where with this old Irish heritage music, you're either expected to know the words or you're kind of kept out.
Yeah.
So it's some bit of, you've either done your study, and your study's probably in some, again, sterile sort of thing, but no one's being the bard to hand this off properly. It is just kept, maintained. So, anyway, to come back to your question of what is the Celtic spirit? Well, I will say, so the Celts had, or here in Ireland, had a triad, had 3 gods, and they were all female. And you had heroes and warriors, you still had heroes' journeys, Cuchulainn being the King Arthur kind of figure. But it was always kind of held that you were dealing with something wild, something slightly out of control, and definitely in nature. And then you also had like these odd, so you've had this like in other like traditions and cultures where the feminine has been very prominent, and you get these figures of fertility and stuff with absurdly large breasts and absurdly large hips, and this is the icon of femininity. Where here in Ireland you get a shield and a gig.
What's a shield and a gig?
Is so for any listeners, I apologize. Becoming very self-aware all of a sudden that this is being recorded. But a shield and a gig is, I encourage anyone to like look it up. Because the image isn't quite as grotesque as it comes across in description, but it is essentially a woman who is holding her privates open. As in holding it
the
as a
gates
portal.
of heaven kind of thing. The gates of life.
Of life, certainly. So this is where we all came from, where many men wish to return. It is
and even control and possess.
Such a driving force of human nature. And it was worshipped as such. And even in some of the old abbeys, the old churches, you'll actually find shield and the gigs. If you go to the Hill of Tara, in that church there, Hill of Tara is where the kings were kept court, where they were crowned. There's a load of stories around that. But in the church, because obviously when the Catholics came over, they put a church on every bit of sacred landscape they could. But in that, there's a shield and a gig.
So, but even like, you know, in Catholic Church, often the feminine is just loving Mary, but she doesn't seem to be doing much, right? She gave birth, she's pure, but almost invisible, but it feels like, I mean, I came across the fact that that's one way of getting a very diluted version of that feminine energy that was once present in many cultures. I don't know if I'm restoring that.
No. Ironically, in Ireland, Mary is seen as quite a significant.
The primary, or more important than Jesus, or almost.
Certainly not. Not more important. It was always held that he's the way, and through him you kind of go. But there was Ireland for a long time kept onto folklore. So fairies and dwarfs and leprechauns in particular, obviously. All of these trickster energies, but there was always this kind of accepted fractal in the religion, basically. So your patron saints, a lot of people still go around with medals and little medallions for finding what was lost, for safe travel, all of these different things. So Ireland was quite a superstitious place, but it facilitated these...
Humility, I would say, it seems like. maybe I'm sorry to interject, but it feels like whenever you have a gratitude and humility that comes to me. But maybe I'm cutting your train of thought.
No,
that was so it just burst a bubble there.
No, but the thing is that, or the reason it pauses me is because, again, then with Ireland's history, you have the land of saints and scholars. You have St. Patrick. You have the Celts and the monasteries where the Vikings would come along, and it was this oddly, wildly spiritual place. And then you get the English coming over, and kind of like they did in their own land with the witch hunts, where they got rid of all of the pagan stuff by kind of killing off the feminine. You then get in Ireland a similar kind of cleansing. It was basically just ethnic cleansing though. But you get this similar effect afterwards where it wasn't Protestant and it wasn't kind of that style, but it was so staunchly centralized and stifling that humility really did not play a role in the kind of 1900s Catholic Ireland. You do have to go back kind of 1700s. You have to go back a little bit further to get what you are kind of tapping into. But it's just, we only just legalized like gay marriage like what, 10, 20 years ago. We are slow to kind of adopt any of these things. Like Ireland is, I do often make the joke that everyone says that Ireland's a very friendly place and that people are quite accepting and quite tolerant, and there's a lot of kind of basic trust built into the fabric. And they put that down, like people have tried to put that down to the mythology, to the culture. But for me, I always make the joke that everyone with a bit of get up and go got up and left during the famine. So if you did have that rebel streak, you just wouldn't have stuck around. Or at least you probably wouldn't have survived because the conditions for survival during the famine were so tight that you had to play very tightly to the rules and to whatever system did work, that any rebellion or any variation on that did not survive.
I'm thinking into that, and well, what comes to me now is obviously we have a conformist surface level of being welcoming to strangers, but there is so much that happens that is not seen to somebody who's not from the town or from this place at all. And in that there is like this struggle for finding who you are in this place, and tying it back to that, the freshness of what this festival captured, the latter one, the flag. They're onto something.
I encourage anyone to look them up. Bog Bodies.
Bog Bodies, okay.
Yeah, that's the name of the band.
B-O-G?
Yep.
Okay. And when they tour, or is they part of a festival that, or whenever they go, those guys are summoning that energy?
I've never gone to see them, and for them not to summon that energy.
Okay, cool. All right. So they're the bards.
Ireland's a bit small for like full-on tours around.
Okay.
But
I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay.
There's frequently there's a Celtic calendar that's very much kind of coming back into fashion.
Yeah.
Partly because there is this kind of how do we regain spirituality and all of this kind of new spirituality, or this kind of like spiritual but not religious, and that's going on everywhere. But there's also a certain, like, the Celtic calendar is very much linked into the cycle of the year, as in like harvest times and the
moons and
the longest days, the shortest days, all of these things. So your summer solstice,
solstices and equinoxes. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So because of that, it's, as everyone's kind of coming back to the land, I like to think that that's the main driver of why it would survive. Instead of just some new spiritual thing where it's a fad or a fashion of we're going to become witches or warlocks or druids or.
Long time ago, older men were animals.
So just pausing and addressing the energy of this place. So we have like 3-4 cairns in our line of sight, which means
And this
You
fourth
can't-
one is one of the ones that got blown up.
ah
So we can go up to
Yeah.
it if you want, just out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
well-
But as I said earlier, like the English thinking that the royals of Ireland would have been buried with gold and silver, surely.
yeah, that's where
But
before we had technical issues, which may not be it's just situations, because it forces us to recalibrate in the sense that when you mentioned that story that the British, or one part of the British, let's not blame all of them, out of they wanted to be rich of, and they abused their power, and they desacralized, profaned this site, and they say like the Celts are not about gold and silver and riches. What are they all about? And you brought that festival energy, where well, I guess we could say liminal, where they seem to have an understanding that at any moment there is a gate that can be opened between another world or other worlds, and we go back and forth and fluctuate. Is that fair, or I am missing something?
Well, as I said, with all of the folklore and the fairies and the leprechauns, as in like there very much was, every local hill, every mountain will have some fairy tale of someone getting drawn into the mountain, or the fairies playing tricks, or anything like this. So there was this living storytelling presence up to very recent, which is what Tommy Tiernan and Martin Duffy are trying to kind of recapture at the moment.
Storytellers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was this just bringing back in the mystery and the Irish stories. If you read James Joyce's Dubliners, you'll come across all of these short stories, and you can just run from one to the other, and they kind of feed into each other.
Yes.
But also there's no kind of beginning to the circle, there's no end to the
Yeah.
circle. It's just this one story starts off with a warrior, and then comes back with a kill, and the story goes on.
Yeah.
But then there's another trail where that hunt was actually a big part of the story.
It's a universe,
and then you turn out that the boar that this guy just hunted is actually the boar that led on to, like, you know, that smited
Such
some
a
other warrior.
universe.
And it's this, there's very much these rolling tales. So there was a liminal aspect in that sense. But what really came up when you said that was one of the most like striking things about the Celts was the Fina, which is your is where we now get the names of the political parties. But let's not get into that. But it was this strong heritage, kind of, can you compare it to Sparta's in the fact that they would have trialed their kids and put them out, and if you can survive in the wilderness, then you can come back. In Ireland there was a different sense, but it was still quite brutal. But there was also poetry. So the Fina were a roving band, typically teens to like in their 20s and stuff like that. And this would have been people who didn't inherit in the tribe easily, and then would have been not necessarily excommunicated. It would have just been like a natural part of, now is your initiation into manhood. Go out into the wild. There are these wild men. You will join them. And they were warrior poets. That's what they were known as. So they would go around to different tribes. They would offer services, but often these were like the bards. They would pick up stories from these small towns and then translate them and transfer. And this is often how like young men would have developed, like, you know, I'm the person who slayed, like, you know, some
bragging
fine,
and
exactly. So
bragging battles, but in poetic terms. Or,
yes. But
like
it was
rap battles, but in poetic terms. But it's always been poetic.
If you hand that energy to your kind of emerging young adults, and then you get these like set tribes and villages, you then all of a sudden give place for the kind of grandparents and the kind of structure, and then you also give place for this flow in between all of the tribes where you would have exchanged stories and you would have had this kind of mingling of, and this is how like a common mythology would have emerged. But it was done through the energy of young men kind of
in the land.
Well, surviving in the land, but also trying to find their place, trying to find a woman who can impress with the stories, and then you get this emergent kind of like storytelling, essentially.
What I'm curious about, because from an angle I can anticipate that sounds like a gang, but what makes that gang not turn vicious like in a ghetto in a city? It feels like the landscape forced them to some kind of reverence that bring not only, okay, sure they can drink and even roughhouse with each other and be mean, but somehow they always go back to the spoken word, the storytelling, the adventures, and that brings them into light and be bard-like. Is that
well? It might.
What brings them to be good and going back to the marketplace as virtues and the foundation of virtue?
Well, they were known as troublemakers.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is a sense of it goes in seasons where when the tribes would have kind of locked their doors and it would have been tight, these would have been the gang that you'd have to be careful of.
Okay.
But they were also respected as a very natural part of society, because as things open
like
up,
superheroes,
they were, yes, very much so. So it's, and the reason I suppose that they would have fallen into then that way of being is because it's the only role they were given.
Yeah.
As in, you can go out into the wild, you can be whatever you want, you can kind of like roughhouse and wrestle and do all of this stuff, and maybe you even go off and you have like a really tough season where you do end up stealing, or you do end up being like the rough gang. But the next town it's like, oh, you're the Fina. It's like, okay, no worries. Come in, we're having a feast, tell your stories. And it would have been very much, they would have had to have played music. They would have had to. And you still get
poetry expressing what they learned from the other village, or Cool. All right. Well, that's fascinating, because you see now what comes to me is like it's not the city-state, but that gap between the cities, something happens, some integration occurs, and then seasons and energies get shifted. And as I see that, there's just two crows that are lifting and dancing in the air. And the thoughts, I don't want to put too much into that, but it's fascinating how, well, I don't know, it feels like the landscape plus seasons plus, it makes that formula for transcendence. And being, and they're liminal too, because you saw they can be rogues.
Yeah,
but
in winter,
sometimes it's gonna land totally fine.
No, in winter you do not want these guys around.
Exactly.
Summertime they're great, but winter you don't want them around. But if you think about it, like, this is what we've kind of gotten rid of, as in like even economically, like by doing the way that we do money now. We've gotten, or we're trying to make everything safe. We don't want a Great Depression. Like, I understand the urge for it. Like, it's fairly obvious and natural.
There's a monster, we need to eradicate it.
But then because you're trying to smoothen out all the hills and valleys, you're also getting rid of seasons. You're giving women chemicals to get rid of their seasons. You're kind of keeping houses fairly warm and comfortable all year round.
You just sort of, that's just you. Okay.
And even seasons of life, you're expected to be virtuous always. And if you weren't, so this is where you get, like, a tweet from 10 years ago or something like that. And you get all the weird complexities of just modern world, and you're just like, okay, that's... Well, now's the perfect time. We can go into the cairn. We can do our meditation here.
Oh, yes. All right, so fascinating. Well,
you wanted to speak to the land, so we went knee deep into the Celts.
Yeah, and then and we're still gonna have, so there's a cairn we can do. You're proposing it's okay to go inside as you are local, and we coming into reverence, and we coming with respect. and I just cannot stop being in awe here. And we're crawling into that opening. This is a return to the womb. So we are in what seems to be like a 150 by 150 square shape heart of this cairn, and there are like 2 chambers or 1, 3 chambers, and this would be where people would be buried.
Yes. So, because we're going back 3000 BC, we don't necessarily know exactly the context for all of this, whether it was men, women, children, whether it was the main branch of the family or the side branches, or how they kind of construct this. Now, there is, obviously, you have these cairns are aligned so that
Turn off the light.
each one would light up directly on a certain day of the year. So, which does throw some people out though, because the rotation of the sun doesn't exactly match the way it would have 5,000 years ago.
Even if I heard there was procession, there's always a little procession of the zodiac, which could account for that, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I heard that term and I thought that sounded cool, which makes sense kind of thing, but maybe it was... I forgot the name of that controversial guy who did a show on Netflix about ancient apocalypse. I find him interesting, but I know he's controversial, so I don't cling on to that, but I just feel awe-inspiring, because to do that in the end of the Ice Age. So,
okay, so for
what's
this,
the intention, or what's the setting?
So for this, we're going to sit on these ledges. Going to do a little bit of just cleansing beforehand, so we can kind of cleanse off what came before, or what we're bringing in with us, I suppose, so we can really land in. So just a bit of sage, a bit of Florida water. But then the ritual around this is we're sitting in one of the caverns, or one of the these gaps here, where there would have been people buried. So obviously it's the tomb. So it is in contact with the elders, with the ancients, with the ancestors. And what I want to do then is I want you to listen out for what would come out straight ahead. What would the ancestors say if you could talk to them, if you could speak with them? What would they say directly to you?
Yeah.
Then the question is, as you're listening to that, on the side, what would they kind of like, what would the other ancestor say? Just being like, okay, I know you got the main message, but like, hey, by the way, also just kind of like listen for that kind of second voice.
So it's like a powwow with a council of elders.
Certainly.
Okay.
And then what you're really...
So I've got sage to purify any negative energy and intention that might be carried through me. And in reverence, I'm coming here to listen to your lessons.
And then what you're listening for as well is the really quiet voice that comes in from behind, because you are sitting in one.
Yes.
So what's direct, what's second, and then what's that just extra whisper as you're trying to
triangulate
Uh,
a question,
come in with
circular
your-
question.
There you go.
So we're doing this for about half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, I don't know. Just to get
Sure. There's no kind of rush on it, anything like that. I would encourage just a bit of Florida water as well.
Yeah.
And then there is some Palo Santo just before you come out. And the Palo Santo is quite important because
Yes.
that's what kind of seals in
Yeah.
whatever you do get to receive.
Yeah.
Because then as you go out, you will very much feel you'll get it when you get it.
Yeah.
And just not to get, like, we're on top of a mountain, not to have all of the insights and knowledge just get swept
otherwise
away.
we can't function. Just whether during this or offered it?
Definitely not.
I'm just
So you just pour it into your hand.
not snort it.
A small amount
Yeah.
into your hand, and then here,
I can mimic you, or you've done this before.
and then just rub your hands together.
Okay.
And then I want you to put it about this far away from your face, so you can smell it, and then let it wash over. So you're just washing off
Well, you don't touch, or
any
you
dust.
And what is this? It's a holy
This
water.
is Florida water. So this is, the sage is like an exfoliant. It kind of takes out the dirt, and then the Florida water is to wash off.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, it comes from Florida.
I'm just going to leave the Palo Santo there.
Yeah.
It's just to burn it,
Yeah.
and then this is for the next person. So whatever work, spirit, good intention, we just leave the feather behind.
So what do I do?
It is just to offer your breath with the smoke into the feather. Yeah.
I'm deeply grateful for your counsel.
You can hold on to the Palo Santo. Do a small blessing just to seal.
Yeah. I'm out of the cairn, and definitely lighter. This feels like home. That was definitely magical.
Oh yeah.
Totally unexpected. How are you?
Beautiful.
Just that simple fact of going in there, resting to a cave like womb, and I thought it would. I anticipated to be dark and gloomy. It was none of that for me. It was like fellows, and yeah. How was it for you?
I always come out with something different, and sometimes it's the same thing but from a different angle. So that's the fun place of having a sacred site or something that you do that type of work in, like repeatedly. So for me today, it is to love every little bit, all the bits. So endurance and aspirations and all of these is like, but don't leave any part behind. With a full recognition, then I have that voice behind just being like, you also need to burn off the dead wood. the bits that aren't relevant, the bits that aren't proper, aren't you. But the main message was to love all the little bits.
You mentioned, because we have this banter going on where I started calling myself a liminal pilgrim of the southern lowlands, and you came back with a Freemason, forgot the epithet next to it.
So a cheeky stonemason.
A cheeky stone,
But that is from the Abbey. That is just a love of Boyle Abbey and the church and the guitar and stuff.
But you know, when I hear Freemason, I hear the sculpting, the chiseling aspect of life that keeps crafting something. And when you say burning the dead wood, is the fire, obviously. That's this, you know, the more you burn, the more it disappears, but you still need to bring some of that noise will be necessary to transform into that light, that love. I was kind of in, set up an intention to guidance for how can I be sure that I am a good father to my eldest son, because maybe there is some masculine energy that could give me some guidance. And the first one, it was very subtle. It was not through language that I had my downloads, but I could feel the tingling in my hands. So something was flowing, and I kept having a music from the Queens of the Stone Age. Mexico had a song which is very groovy, very heavy, very Dionysus-like. So my interpretation was like, you know, that's what life is, this wild horse, right? And then I asked the other elder, and I kept on having images of my son wrestling with his coach, and but also very maternal, tactile, kinesthetic type of energy. So he needs hugs, he needs interaction, roughhousing, movement. And towards the third, it was very, this time I felt like something came into my body, like some spectre or something. Like, but it was much more mercurial, right, in and out. And then, so it was very hard to understand what that dance was supposed to communicate. In a sense, it says like, no, you're on the right track. At the same time, it felt like I was missing something. So, and I look at, okay, there's something going on. I thought it came from the womb. And from there, I saw what looked like a horse head in the shapes of the angles of the rock. So what I got from it is like, we need an animal where he can connect and ground himself to connect this, so like a pet. And that was on my radar. How can I get him to connect to an animal, to understand something without words, without language? So I got my triangulation there: love, movement, and animals. Aho.
Aho.
And then I tried to like, hey, how you guys been? Like, they seem to be like talking like in a pub. Like this time words came out, and I said like, it's all good. Life is beautiful. Kind of. Right. So that's my vibe. You don't have to
Well,
share
I'll
what
give you-
yours.
I'll give you two Irish bits anyway.
Yes.
So in Irish, to say like hello, you say Dialogos, which means God be with you,
Yeah.
type thing. And when you're saying kind of good luck,
Yeah.
you say Ganairi an Bóthar Lat,
Mhm.
which means may the road rise to meet you. So just for a little bit of Celt.
Yeah.
But so whatever way that comes down, and again, this is from a time when there was rarely Ireland was pretty multi-theistic,
Yeah,
or like there's multiple
polytheist,
gods.
yeah.
So when it is Dialogos, like just keep in mind that this is pre-Catholic.
Yeah.
Which I mean to say, because there is a triangulation, or there is a certain amount of that. So I'm going to ask, which one spoke to you first? You said there was three.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I took to the one, what seemed to be the one right behind me.
First?
Yeah. And did
Same.
Yeah. Okay.
Which isn't the norm.
Should we go a bit for how? Or we on a rush to go back and do a big loop? I forgot.
No, but we're going to go down the end of the mountain on the far side.
Okay. Thanks. Well, the first was this. I don't know. It was very idle, but obviously it was hard to distinguish my impatience for an answer from from things settling, and obviously there was those noises from other people outside who distract me a bit, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, and that's where, that's where I got my tingling in my hands and some kind of things like I'm not doing anything too wrong, but I'm always worried I'm gonna flip and be very hard when he's gonna be even more rebellious. He's not bad at all, but I'm just, you know, when I was little, I had Hulk as a hero among Superman and Batman and stuff like that, right? But when I was like, what I got from Hulk in hindsight was that guy's a cool guy. He's a regular dude. He doesn't want any trouble. But when people press their buttons and keep on pushing it, eventually that feral beast comes out and restores the balance, right? All he wants is justice for his, just let him be, and he doesn't want to bother people. And after that he comes down. So it's a kind of a healthy werewolf kind of thing. So, and that I put it into dialogue with, let's say, Jesus kicking out the merchants out of the temple, which means I feel like anger can be wielded responsibly for the good. But of course, because it's a power, you have to be careful of not getting addicted to that power, otherwise you turn into Darth Vader, or right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you take it too seriously, and that's taking too much energy, and then you can eat you up. So how can I be sure that I'm not pressing when as a parent you have ultimatums and count all to 3, but that just feels like it's got to be another way, right? So that's that's where my concern is. Like, I don't want to be angry with my son all the time, but I do recognize that I cannot be angry. But after repeated things that I care about, something as simple as like, don't talk to me like that, right? And he's only 10 now, so imagine when he's 16.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes I can will it. I can just gracefully take all the nastiest things he can say to me, which is not all the time, but some of the times I feel like he accumulates and he comes out of the expected, and it's just like, damn. So that's what I feel is like the predicament of being a nuclear family, right? Because back in the day, you would slam the door and go to see his grandfather or an uncle, or
Certainly, yes.
or he would just go somewhere else. It's not so simple now.
There is something certainly to having multiple male role models.
Yes.
Or sorry, male figures around, such that you can both rebel and still be kind of kept, or still be homed, especially for that, like how to harness their aggression, because it comes out, as you say, like in spurts, in kind of, it comes out fresh
Yeah.
and raw. So for them to be able to aim that at someone, ideally masculine,
Yeah.
and then for them also to be kind of mentored and held in that kind of masculine way,
Yeah.
because you don't want them to like take it out on their mom, and then for you to be just like, no, don't be like that, or something like
Yeah.
that. And this is where you get into the families that kind of disrespect the mom, or kind of treat her like a servant or something.
Yes.
And then you don't want it where it's just totally repellent against the dad and it's just held by the mom, and you get the devouring mom sort of trope then. So to have this bit of an uncle or kooky friend or whatever to kind of keep the door open, I definitely think that in the nuclear family that's a loss.
Yep. And that's the thing, is like, as much as I like the jiu-jitsu coach or the kickboxing coach that he goes into, or the teacher, they're all healthy, good masculine role models. I wish there would be a time where they would be able to be more for them besides the lesson, where, hey, how you doing, right? And it's just, I hate my dad, he would say these kind of things. Oh, you know what? And that's why the best version of myself speaks through them. And then, oh, he didn't mean it like that. Oh, you know what? Your dad loves you, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe not. Maybe they talk about something else. So it doesn't seem to be, that would just chill him out. But it's not that simple, so.
No, but there's also like a kind of, there is a place for that. The teacher or the martial artist, like out in the temple, like with the monks
hunter,
or whatever.
The fisherman,
that archetype. But then again, for like the uncles and the brothers and any other kind of male role models, but that have a genuine relationship with you as well as with him, so they have to navigate and kind of do that. That's the part, because there is like, they can just follow an influencer that like, gives them kind of like, here's what healthy masculine is, and there's good and bad versions of that. But there's sometimes when you can get like a personal relationship where you get like a martial art teacher that will kind of take you at face. But there is something to be said for, again, like a friend who says, well, my version of your dad actually does this, and the part that is irritating you right now is actually really funny in this other situation. I was like, you don't get to see it because you're just not quite old enough yet, but when you see it, it's like, that's actually a pretty like odd, like it's odd, we all agree it's odd, or whatever you want to phrase it, but because they can offer that type of lens and that type of holding, like that's the part that, as everyone's kind of moving around and being nomadic and kind of looking for all of these different experiences so that we're worldly and we're not closed off.
Yeah.
There is just a certain loss of a communal holding, which I think, like, I suppose it'd be kind of maybe a bit out of place for us to comment on that on the feminine side, but I feel like that would be pretty similar, just in the fact that you need the kooky aunt that, like, you know, or, okay, think of Moana, the movie, where you have the grandmother who, like, you know, does all and she says, yeah, like, you know, your dad, I changed these nappies, like, you know, you don't have to listen to him all the time, like, there's a little bit of life that he hasn't told you yet, such as the boats. Oh yeah, did you hear that his friend died out there? That's why.
Yeah.
You know, she could have given her advice if this was just a elderly woman. It's like, you know, some Christian, like, you know, love your father, love your mother. But no, because she knows them, she's able to give proper. Yes.
Right. So we're down from the hill from kind of when we started the greeting. Now see if we have mushrooms on the way. Or it's a bit further.
Well,
it doesn't have. I'm open to whatever.
Maybe another day.
I'm just yeah. Still a fair bit of silence, and as soon as I say that, there is a donkey.
Yep. That's actually from a far off farm, but we are there's a farmhouse down here. And just before there, we're just gonna walk down around there. There's a nice picnic area.
Great.
There's an old house that would have been, if you ever find houses in kind of these real outskirts, like middle of nowhere sort of places in the mountains, it's usually places that the Gaelic language would have been kept and held out from.
Okay.
So just keep in mind that they taught the Irish language in what they called hedge schools. So it was hidden. You teach the kids just to try and keep the language alive, because obviously they were trying to kill it off for quite a while.
How do you keep a language alive?
Do you know it was an Argentinian man that made me love the language again?
Oh, tell me. Like the Irish language?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what was his...
So it is, he writes Irish poetry. He does cartoons about the Irish myths and tries to make them kind of funny and accessible for the youth again.
Yeah.
And he really likes the language. He likes the Celts.
Yep.
How are we doing? Howdy.
Very good. But he said it to me one day, and he said, he was asking me just, does it not kind of pain me to know that the language is gone, essentially, or in practice, like. And I said that I suppose I didn't really want to look backwards. I wanted to go forward. What unites us in the future? Like, how can we, you know, the world's a different place, and while, like, you know, this is kind of the very naive view of a native English speaker that just hasn't looked around, I suppose. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, think of water. So in, like, water's something sacred. It cleanses, it purifies, it washes away. It's all this flow. There's so much. Like, if I could go back to Bruce Lee or something like that, he uses water as the analogy, you know? Yep.
For this flow and kind of fitting. And he's like, okay, so, like, what do you think of when you think of water? It's like, I don't know, like, he's like, okay, but listen to the Irish version of water. So the Irish for water is ishka. And he's like, ishka, you can hear the stream, you can hear the river, you can, like, it's in the word, the sound is there, like. And he's like, and you don't understand how much of these things are just in the language. Your relationship with the object is kind of like, you know, mediated by the name that you give it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I still haven't, as in, like, I've gone to Gael talks, I've learned a small bit of Irish, but I haven't gone native, and it does feel like a kind of strange thing now to revive a language. There would have to be a for purpose, like revive the language to, and then we get back to the Celtic spirit. It's like, are we going to go? Is that where we're going to go?
Yeah.
Are we reviving it just to be different, so that we're going to have like a Tower of Babel as the current system falls? Like, we're going to make up our own language. We're going to be like the triplets, where two of the brothers or sisters or whatever make up their own language to leave out the third. You're like, like, why?
Yeah.
When it's if it's not unifying, I suppose, or if there's no kind of real, or if there's no reason that we can kind of identify.
Yeah.
So I suppose, but then this thing came around where I was like, okay, there might be a reason, at least to keep it some bit alive.
Yeah.
So to have, as we have the system at the moment, like.
Yeah.
Well,
that's well, when your friend said ishka for water, well, first, from my knowledge of Indo-European languages that I master from, I either go for the Germanic water, Wasser, Water, you know, all these kind of things, like, or even you can have it in, like, in Swedish, it's got this van type of thing, and then aqua, o, in other languages. So I like the Germanic water. You hear that bouncy thing, and Wasser in German, like, it also has this S shape. So I came across, we have these questions about where language came about, and from David Abraham studies, and he gathers all the people's thoughts, where he says that, you see how that squishy thing of our feet on the ground, that's why you have mud. Mud. Or you hear the land speaking. We go from onomatopoeias, and from there, you know, you have whatever else gets peppered in there, you know, from the village, you know, how, and it came to me like that. He mentioned that poem called, I think it's called The Burn in Scottish. Is a river, or a small river. I try to remember the name of the poem, but he keeps bringing in the rolling of the turns that he uses in his poem, and it's like,
so you can almost hear the rocks kind of shift and move. And
so basically, how to keep the language alive. I think obviously your friend is onto something, because ultimately it needs to be fun to talk about. So in my context, how do I keep Spanish and French alive? Obviously I speak it at home, but it's okay to mix it with other languages, right? So I think you have a fair bit of that here in Ireland, where, okay, it's everywhere, but when you say, you know, you have a good crack, you know, things like that. I don't know enough, of course, but the more you can just blend English and Irish, eventually, in some situations, people are gonna say this thing that only sounds good when you use the full Irish expression, right? And this is how you feed English,
Yeah.
and perhaps it feeds back. And this is how languages evolve, because this is how English has precisely this capability of absorbing Latin, absorbing Creole, absorbing, things from all over the world through its simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen another magic mushroom?
No. Not quite.
But here we have another Hawthorn bush,
Yeah, we do
another
indeed.
fairy.
Well, all of these are hawthorns.
Yeah.
So you're surrounded by them
This
at the
is the
moment.
landscape of. Yeah. Now you can hear, obviously with the bushes, now we can hear more birds. And you hear what seems to be a robin. And how they have these conversations. Yeah, it really feels like I could sit on the back of a hill any day at a time as a ritual, when I would not care where the goes where the world goes, even as an asteroid falls in. It's like, yeah, it took an asteroid to get rid of me.
So you have
Yeah,
it where
it
it's
feels
like,
like even like, you know how Pythagoras got killed? He was drawing his circles of mathematics, where there was a war going on and they was pillaging. He didn't give a damn. He was still doing his circles, and when the careless soldiers are like, "Rrrr," he's like, don't bother my circles. He died, but he didn't care. So I'm always torn between that story, because either a little bit of pragmatism would have said like, come on, run and give us that other theorem that we could have worked with.
yeah,
And the other thing is like, it doesn't matter. We will never find out that whole thing because it's millennia now. But that's the coolest, badass thing, that, as long as I do what I care about, it doesn't matter what. I could die any day.
well, you have to think as well that if he was the type that would have been pragmatic enough to kind of get up and go, he might not have been the type that would have sacrificed
correct.
whatever else he sacrificed to discover what he discovered.
Well, it's these simple things, like, of course, in hindsight, it's easier to redo history, but I didn't want him to pick up martial arts. He could have just said, there's a war coming. Maybe doing your thing from another town could have been, but obviously I don't know anything about the political relationship of Syracuse and at the time, but it just feels like, that's the grief there again. It's like, and even we would have gotten that theorem, what else would have been? Just one more way of enslaving people. You see? Because every time we have a
power game?
scientific breakthrough,
Yeah.
we put it into something we're going to charge a membership for. So in the end, it's just as good as, like, there was this quote that we came up on, this aphorism from this, I think it was this Spanish dude who said, progress is, I forgot. Progress was the burden that has fallen on mankind, or something like that. Like, every time there is progress, you think it's progress, but you're making it more complicated, and you're separating yourself from the love. You're just like, wow. So I stop streamlining my life, trying to get better at things. I'm separating myself. Well, it's me rambling now.
No, I get it. I just, as in, now we literally understand more than pharaohs and kings.
Yeah.
years ago. So but I find it really hard to defend the system that we got.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, again, I come back to this, like, elves out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
How do we get back to nature at a level that really has some sort of harmony to it,
Yeah.
but also some form of education and technology that
Yeah.
we're still aspiring, playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Like if I have a kid, I do want them to have 5 teachers instead of 1, so that they can synthesize something a bit new, a bit different, because that does help their spirit not to get crushed. If they just have 1 teacher and they're stuck, it's the only way that they know. Some people thrive in that,
and yet,
but some people need exploration. They need a synthesis. They need a kind of,
Yeah.
surely there is something new under the sun. Surely.
yeah, there was this thing. Now I have different tangents. One third is see. Ultimately, this is what I like from Ido Portal and his work. I mean, I'm not idealizing it because he's got. I feel like he's turning a bit guru-like, and I don't like that. But he says like, hey, if the more you rely on technology, the less sophisticated is your body, and you are not seeing how cool, how much your body can do, how much it can withstand food and harsh conditions and heal itself and fight, run, stretch, love, all these kind of things, just like rekindle that. Ultimately, the best technology is the one that is with you all the time. Let's move, right? So,
Okay.
so that's one angle,
Yeah.
right? And of course, the other one is like, you see, like some people are more, how you call it again? Let's say the shamans, liminal, more sensitive to things, and they can see, there's water here. Oh, there is something out there. Like, oh, we shouldn't go there because it's so that something got attuned. Not everybody, but enough so that they didn't need to have a nap to be able to see whether they should go hunting or not. And this is the radar that's gonna, yeah, cool. But now there is this humility of not getting it right all the time, right? That restraint that helped the ecosystem to be preserved. As soon as we got that extra, I like this little gate here, because when I look at those small formations, it really looks like we are on a
This is the
like it's a
door to a
helicopter.
leprechaun?
Yeah, it's like a helicopter view of a massive range. But we are giants right now. You see,
Yes.
It feels like I am a giant walking the land, and then welcomed by the robin. Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's like, and that's because I work with technology as my job, right? I need to teach how we can do these things, and that's why I'm more like pulled towards, you know what? Let's walk a little bit more bare feet. Let's have a cold shower, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Too much comfort, so you're inviting
let's
hardship
climb a
back
tree.
in.
Yes. Yeah, so it's not like I want to go back and live in caves, of course, but I just, respecting what feels right for my body.
Okay, so here's a question then. If you were to go back in time to caves and be the shaman who's in touch with the earth and feels connected, and whatever romantic view, like as in we're doing an exaggerated version here, so like take the romantic view for a moment.
Yeah.
What's the part of modernity that you would miss?
The modernity that I would
miss?
miss.
That you'd be like, you'd be in this
Well,
shamanic
clearly,
world hunting, and you'd be like,
well, that's the thing, is like if I understand the proposition of, hey, let's, because for one side, I love the internet and YouTube and what it puts me like, oh, look at the knowledge of the world and more and the mystery. And the proposition is that if I sit in the middle of a field, that's my Netflix binging. You
Sure.
keep turning in to yourself and to the senses without words into the mystery and proposition. That's what Emerson says, and Thoreau, and all these people. I think it's even William Blake who was synthesizing that. It says like, hey, just right here, you're in touching one. It doesn't have to be a peak experience either. Just this kind of energy gets infused into you that you don't need to know things to be, feel safe, right? When you are in nature, you don't need to be seen as much
Yeah.
by your peers, your lover, your children, your work colleagues. No, because somehow you're moving in the landscape and you're in control of a craft. So that's the proposition, and that's why I'm trying to see where it takes me by nurturing some time outdoors. But yeah, if I would miss, God, it feels so good because every time you finish a good book, see, being close to a library, for example,
Yeah.
being close to a library is just like, and you find that chapter or that aphorism that I just mentioned, and you have this dopamine hit of, oh, it's so good to be alive. Look at that. Tension, and somebody or something brings up that insight, and you're just like, oh, and that feels good. And I wonder, see, if you need a fair bit of time in the marketplace with Babylon, and then time in the mountain alone to ruminate, integrate, and go back and forth. I always romanticize like, I want a place in the city, I want a place in the countryside. The robin is just there behind. So that's my answer for now.
You can hear what he sounds like, yeah?
Yeah,
He chirps, but the guys that are singing, I think then are blackbirds.
could be.
But he's more like a...
Yeah, one rolls more than the other one is more like a tremolo. And that's probably a call.
But those guys that do the... That's Rob. No.
That's just, I love it. How? Yeah, so I want both. But that's why it's in that, because a lot of people stay in the library, don't get out of the library.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel like if you stay in the countryside, even if you're happy, you end up like a native Indian, which is just eaten up by progress and disappear. Good. See, you have to be able to be pragmatic and fight.
Yeah.
Don't be innocent about it. Right. It's probably complex. Not everybody dealt like that in those terms. It's funny how this energy. It's very welcoming as you step into here. It always sinks in a little bit, and it's like a perfect carpet. Yeah, somehow I feel energized from being from that, and you're a bit more grounded, more contemplative, more mellow.
Well, ironically, like you're going on about Blake and you're going on about these things, it's like that's just kind of where I'm at.
Say more.
I'm just, I suppose, looking. How do I phrase this? Sure, okay, we can make it abstract and then hopefully it lands. Like just play those forms.
Yeah.
So you just go like, what is the most, so there's a load of hawthorn trees around here. Which is the most beautiful hawthorn tree? Why is it the most beautiful? What is it about that tree that makes it more, like, is it more tree-y? Is it more hawthorny?
Yeah.
Is it more haw or is it more thorn? Or like, what's the vibe?
Yeah.
And I suppose, yeah, that meditation just brought that in, just more living or more kind of just dominant in the perspective then. So when I'm looking around, it has me in that sort of space where I'm like, there is all this complexity. So when you're going on about this ground and how welcoming it is and how soft it is, I'm just like, yep. And what that affords, as in it's welcoming to us, it gives breath, it gives space to worms, insects, beetles, like the mycelium network like under this place can be immense in certain places, and then you get this whole thing of like the different plants talking to each other, and trading nutrients, trading networks, all of this stuff. And this is exactly the stuff then that when you like monocrop, and we're on about like all of this modern culture of
streamlining.
What is it about modernity that we'd miss? And it's kind of like, okay, again, I'd probably go kind of education as well. But obviously, if we just glanced it all away immediately, all at once, A, we'd all go mad. But B, as in, the earth isn't as welcoming anymore because we have kind of built it in a certain way where if we don't feed it, it doesn't feed us. So there's no kind of natural kind of just skimming off the top, taking the bit of fruit and then allowing the tree to still plant seeds. Now some of the plants just don't even have seeds type stuff, you know? And also then you end, like as in Ireland when the famine happened, there were certain kind of like charitable offerings and stuff that were given to the Irish where they'd give them seeds. The Irish at that stage were so starved that they would eat the seeds because they couldn't wait. Because when you get to a certain level, you are quite primitive or quite primal.
And that's also that, because look, it happens that like during Industrial Revolution, I also heard that, for example, the landscape we're on is for sheep, which means apparently they chopped a lot of trees to make it just grass-like.
Yep.
Which means like now, you see what could have been something that people could have hunt for game, mushrooms or any other thing. Now it's this monoculture that makes it like, and they've been so disconnected from like, hey, when you need food, go to the market. The market is broken. What are we gonna do? And that's it. Like the foraging practices have been vastly forgotten, and that's still a better time than now, kind of. You see?
Yeah.
I like the energy space that you have now. Why are you?
Do you think that? So say we went back to abundance, as in, or as abundant as the world was pre-industrial, or sorry, pre-agriculture.
Well,
so
okay.
just foraging.
Okay.
And you get planted into it.
Yeah.
And you knew what was edible and you knew what wasn't. So let's give that as like a superpower.
Okay.
Somehow, some way, your intuition is just spot on.
Okay.
How many generations before you get to be healthy?
Healthy.
Because presumably you're going to eat you're going to be Garden of Eden. You know what's edible and it's all around, and you get to have family and you get to like do tribe and you get to do all of the other stuff. But we know that, like, you know, you need vitamin B and you need vitamin D and you need vitamin whatever else. So how long before you develop scurvy because you don't know which one has vitamin C and which one cures it?
Well, that's the thing, is like our definition of health is probably, idealized, you see, jacked up, never sick, or if you are, you recover very quickly. And well, at the time, well, obviously that's a good point, because it depends on which land I am doing this on, right? Doing it
Very
in the
much so.
Mediterranean is another story from doing it in this latitude.
Well, Mediterranean, if we still had fish.
But yeah, I'm not claiming to have the answer, so it just feels like at the moment I'm so thankful that I'm in the right place in terms of food, without having to eat red meat or white meat. I do eat fish from time to time and eggs. So, and that was the other day. There were some vegan activists downtown, and they were showing
Love them.
animal slaughter and on screens, and I was like kind of sympathetic to their cause. And I showed my kids that were with me, hey, look, this is what happens when you drink milk, kind of thing. You are kidnapping, a baby for their mother and things like that.
Yeah.
There was one guy who kind of recognized what I was doing. Hey, in the eye, he saw like, okay, you're one of ours. Don't need to talk to you.
Yeah.
But then, as I was going through that, the kids were trying to take it all in. Another activist came in, and he was a bit more judgmental. As in like, hey, I'm vegetarian, but I'm also, let's say, flexitarian. I also adapt if there's somebody made it with love. And suddenly he put me in the binary category, and he went into this slippery slope argument, which may be fair, but somehow all my NVC went out the window. I mean, it didn't go
How do you
bad,
mean
but at the same
NVC?
time, it was so frustrating that whatever I come up with, he was like not willing to go through. So maybe he was a young activist. Maybe I was trying to like get, there is nuance, there's tolerance, but no, for him it's like genocide or nothing.
Yeah.
And there is this line in the sand that clearly he has not. And I was trying to say like, well, sometimes if it's hunted and with heart and sacrifice, I can assume that. And also you have to, So that's why I was like frustrated. Yet, can't you see that we are the same? Clearly not. And just like, and I was like, so that was like again another missed opportunity. And just like, wow. By the way, this grass just feels awesome landscape for playing hide and seek as a kid. That Hawthorn bush feels like so many people has sitting on that bush to contemplate and play. And
Certainly.
yeah, and that land that sinks under your feet is still amazing.
Can I ask, what's your concept of the Ubermensch? Your Superman. So obviously you've an American version, you've every other version that has tried to kind of say what the best is. We've kind of alluded to maybe gorillas being a peak performer. Don't know if I want to be a gorilla, but okay. And it's just kind of like, so what we've done is we have a lot of calories, not too much nutrition. We have a lot of knowledge, missing out on the more local knowledge. We can name a lot of animals, but not the ones that live within a 10-kilometer radius. And like there's a few different things here. So if we're talking about like a modern day shamanic Superman who's, so I mean to say like spiritually grown, physically grown, emotionally grown, has the primal energy, has the intellect, has the wisdom, has all of these different things. So without traveling back in time, and because I've asked this question, I keep kind of making this reference to like the elves at Lord of the Rings, kind of, but that's only the civilization piece. The actual individual piece of what do the kind of supermen of the future, or like what's the ideal that we're kind of aiming towards. I actually find that really difficult to answer.
What comes to me is again that contrast between you have to be somebody outdoors, right? You have to be in movement, because I feel like my hunch is that all this wisdom comes from being oozed up from your interaction with the land, whether it's like climbing a tree, going on a wander, going perhaps hunting or foraging. Or perhaps, you mentioned the martial arts or any sports like that. But then you have to always go back and maybe I guess a journaling practice or a contemplative practice and bounce that with propositions, right? See if those propositions match what you've seen around you, and as long as you go back and forth, you don't take yourself too seriously. But I'm hoping that maybe the 80% of the time or 60% of the time that you are in movement outdoors would not make you so needy of certain things to be achieved, whether changing the world or changing your partner, changing things like that. No, you would be more at ease. So you wouldn't need to feel fulfilled by technology, or why my lover, my friend is not addressing me like that.
Yeah.
You see, that's what I've noticed when I had my phase of a lot of intellectual propositions, and I was frustrated that my girlfriend would not be able to meet me there on those terms. So I would flee into the Zoom sphere to bounce ideas and hey, yes, feels good to feel clever about stuff. But then as soon as I started to do more jiu-jitsu and more contemplative, suddenly I started to just not care whether, and all that being addressed, it would be just my own enjoyment to understand things at that level.
Yeah.
And simply see how I can be the right tool for that situation right in front of me. And it becomes now my secret garden. See, if I get those aphorisms or those ideas or these great mental models, I just like, yeah, that's bonus. It doesn't matter, because in the end, I rekindle the connection to the heart, to love. So earlier we were asking what is love, and we were arguing or trying to figure out the difference with beauty. And for me, love is simply that connection. What happens when you give a blessing? And I heard that definition, that thing that you want to exist even if you're not there. And you realize that thing is actually quite more universal, far more common than you think it is, but we're not good at articulating it. So when you happen to find out what you love, it's like that precise word that you're able to pick it up, that resonates through all your body. That's that connection, right? And it's not, you're in wonder, and to be able to let that go, right? You have your love of your life, and things don't work out. It was great or was imperfect, and it was beautiful, and you have to prepare to see it in other things at the same or even higher intensity if you let it go. So that's what I'm trying to walk the land on about. Is that a proper sentence?
Yeah.
You see, it feels like it feels right to every time. It has. You clearly feel, people say, butterflies in your body, or this excitement, this joy that you worked on, but also those tears that make you collapse about, gosh, right there I feel in that storm of love. And and I'm kind of blessed to be able to, like, soon after, to try to integrate it, to put words on that experience. And when I say like, yes, that's what I'm all about. And when I see it, and when I see it other people, I'm totally in the energy to give a blessing. I'm probably projecting many things, but that people get caught off guard. But that's where, look at that. She's in the supermarket. And you see something, and it's totally cool now to walk to that person. He comes from the right place to say, woman, you have a big heart. And you walk away. And then you can see people being like, but there was like, what was that? And then it's okay. So that's...
I get that.
That connection between the seeing being seen, right? That the observer and the object, and it even crosses time and generations. That loop there.
So is love always a storm?
Is love as a storm? Love as a storm.
Is it always a storm?
That should be a book for a kinky story, right? How you call those novels?
Is it erotica or is that the pictures? I don't know.
I've forgotten. I was thinking the literature that is porn for women.
Yeah.
The forbidden storm of love. Seems like we're too early for mushrooms, Captain. Or too late.
Late.
It's funny how this land doesn't see. I think, like, right, the field where we're on. We're just happy there. We can't move forward. It's good. We are turning in circles. We haven't moved more than 10 meters from that edge.
No, we're going to go down to the Hawthorn tree down here.
Or Hawthorn 3. That reminds me of an awesome story. It's again this. I don't know if it's the right place to tell it. I'll tell it outside.
If it's coming up, may as well fire ahead.
Well, because I didn't want to make the podcast only about me, mostly you, but ultimately it's, it feels good.
It's about a conversation.
Yeah, it's about a conversation, and it's about trails that we speak on behalf of. Well, it's called, maybe you heard this one, it's called the Peddler of Swaffham, or John of the Dream. And I don't know, I don't want to mess up the mic. There was a time in Swaffham, which is, I understand, in Norfolk. Sorry if I... And if you were asking people from Swaffham whether John was a clever guy, let's see, not particularly. Whether he was smart. Oh, a chanterelle. That's what you're looking for. Whether he was good looking, kind, and oh no, it's not. We thought we saw a mushroom that we could eat. And so basically that guy is just basic. He's basic. And one day he had a dream. But he was not really, like he thought like at 3 a.m. when he woke up from that vivid dream where somebody comes to him and, John, go to London Bridge. There will be a treasure. Go and look for it. And he goes like, he wakes up at 3 a.m. to wake up his wife for a bit of dream interpretation. And he said, well, I had this dream. I had to go to London Bridge and go and find a treasure. What do you think it means? Well, it just means it's a dream. It's the left brain talking to the right brain. Just like, go to sleep, I'm tired. Guess what? It only happens once in a lifetime where you have twice the same dream in a row. Exactly the same dream. Some kind of shape comes to him in his dream and says, John, go to London Bridge. There is a treasure for there to be found. Go and get it. And he, what do you think it means? And she's like, you have to imagine the next day, the worst day of Swaffham, where he went to the florist, to the baker, to the butcher, to to the teacher of the school. There's like, and everybody says like, oh, dude, it just means the whole freaking thing. Go to London Bridge. It's just a dream. There's not much to make around that one. Eventually he goes to the, he went to the tattoo parlor. He went to the to everybody in town. Eventually he ends up to the priest. The priest is not in a position to listen. Oh, John, what are you doing here? Well, I had this dream. I don't want dreams, I want visions. Look at the state of this church. It's collapsing, it's in shambles. I haven't seen anybody here. There's like, nobody wants to show up here.
Yeah.
There's no candles, it's cold, there are crows pooping here, everywhere. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with your dream? So come back when you have a vision. And so eventually, John decided to, you know what, I've never been out of Swaffham. I might as well give this a go. So he takes his little backpack, he brings his dog with him, and he's out of the village for the first time. And this is where he starts to realize, hey, maybe I'm a bit of a traveler. Maybe I'm a bit of a, I can do this, you know. He can see people waving at him on the side of the road, like Frodo leaving the Shire. It's all beautiful and adventurous. Eventually, he finds a place where, you know, there are women who are selling a ticket to heaven for a gold coin. Do you think he took the ticket to heaven? The story doesn't say, but he got one less gold coin at the end of it. So you have to imagine like sleeping on the side of the road, no caramel macchiato in the morning, no scones, just a rough night, but it's okay. You're following your dream. Eventually he gets to climb on a chariot that brings it in the area of Greater London, and this is at a time where you could smell London before you could see it. And when he reached close to the center, close to London Bridge, he's kind of like buzzing because he can hear all these different accents, all these different jobs that he hasn't seen before. It's so busy, but so vibrant, so buzzing, and exhibitions going on, and just like, wow, a big city. This is like awesome. And then he goes to London Bridge. He finds it, and hello, I'm here. It's John. I had a dream about treasure, and nobody gives a damn about him. Well, they're walking past, and it's like, you know, some people insult him, but oh well, okay, I'll sit down on this bridge and I wait. And he waits, and he waits, and he waits. First day, nothing, just with his dog. Second day, rain, cold, miserable, nobody. Third day, he's wondering what the hell took him to ever listen to a dream. It's just like, wow, he misses his family, he misses his, you know, his all his home basically. Fourth day, he's about to go home and call it day. And that's where there's a guy who comes to him. I've seen you here for 3 days. What are you doing here? And he says, well, I've been here because I made a dream that a treasure for me is waiting for me here. And she's, oh, dreams? How silly are you to listen to dreams? No later than last night, I had a dream that I had to go to a place, what is it called? Swaffham? And there'll be like, I would find like a great treasure on the Hawthorn bush. But that's ridiculous. I have other things to do. I'm gonna go back to my business. So my counsel is to go back home. See you. It takes a while for the penny to drop. Swaffham, Hawthorn bush. Eureka! That's the news! I should go back home. And that's the dog, he's barking. And he's so excited, and now he goes back. And now that's the type of story where, you know, the return trip is often much faster than the way out. He doesn't care. He passes the gates of the village, and after that he just rushes back home, grabs 2 spades, and he tells his wife and his kids, come! They find the hawthorn bush, and they dug 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 until they find the sound of metal hitting metal. So that looks good. Eventually, whoa! A massive treasure, life-changing amount of money. And that's where they just start to dance, they're celebrating, they're so happy. They know now they won't have to ever worry about money again. Except that one of the kids noticed that there's something interesting written on the side of the massive chest. Is something written in Latin, but they're not sure what it means. But they write it down on a piece of paper, and they try to, who in this town could understand Latin? I guess they would go and ask the priest. So here is John again. Hello? Oh, not you again. Yes. Do you have a minute for me to try to understand what this means? And this is where, you know, the priest takes a piece of paper, puts his glasses on, and just reads it out and says, well, that just means that beneath me there is something bigger. He just gives it back and tosses it and just like moves on. Doesn't seem to be paying much attention. I thought, oh, all right. So they go back, take the spades again, keep on digging beneath that former hole, and they dug 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 until they find again metal heating metal. And that's even a bigger cauldron with gold, silver, jewelry. That treasure is just like, this is far too much for just the few of them. So like, this has to be, this is not for us, this is not meant for us. So somehow through extra work they managed to hold the whole thing on a chariot, and they bring it back in town. They go back to the church and they knock at the door. The priest is like, what you want? Leave me alone. And that's what John says. You remember the other day we were looking for a dream? Yeah. Well, I have a vision for you now. And now the priest just like gets brought to be witnessing what is in front of you. Is like, and now what you have to imagine is that the priest is in front of that thing, and he starts to like wobble a bit. Maybe he puts a foot on the one side, rests on it and put a circle and goes back on the other. He starts to like twist. One hand on one side, one hand on the other. then looking up. Is that a dance? If he is, he looks ridiculous, but now he starts to tap. And after that, he's just like, wow, he starts to like hug the nun that's passing by. He starts to like grab people by the cheeks and like he cannot believe. And it's like now what he's doing is like, we need to do something. We need to buy candles. We need to dust off this place. Can you bring somebody to come and dust the webs, the spider webs? We can maybe put some new paint. Maybe we can organize some kind of celebration, and then we need singers, and we need musicians, and we need maybe somebody to help cleaning and so on. And before you know it, suddenly like the whole community starts to be really alive around the church. And then everybody's like got something to do with what celebration that is coming now. It's just like, and then when they have this long banquet table around the church on this beautiful day, you have to imagine stories, music, laughs, dance, prayers, and getting tired, and food, and doing it all over again. And since then, if you happen to go to Swaffham, everybody will be able to tell you who was that John who was dumb enough to follow a dream. And this is all I know.
There is certainly something to being able to pull all of these stories out.
No shit.
I'm going to do the very annoying thing where I'm going to ask you a question that I want to be asked back, but I'm going to ask you first, and I genuinely want you to answer. Have you ever had a reoccurring dream?
My first hunch is no, but I think like I have, yes. Well, I have, often is like I'm being chased and I'm fighting back, and it's really like parkour-like, and castles and going in and out, and no matter where I hide, I am found again. And that happens like every 3-5 years, until the last 2 times I had that dream, maybe within the last 5 years, is the first time that I managed to outsmart who was chasing me. And the last time I had it, I was found, but I was totally okay with it. So my early interpretation was like, oh, this is fucked up, this is a nightmare kind of thing. Then it went later on in my 30s, I went into like, oh God, I am not feeling safe wherever I go.
Yeah.
When eventually I managed to outsmart it, like, I understood that I'm chasing myself, right? And eventually when it's even when I feel trapped, I feel okay about it. So yeah, it's different things, like whatever I thought is chasing me is not as bad. And maybe I should not be running in the first place, but it's often like, how do I say?
That's...
Yeah, so that's why I have, I'm chasing my own tail. Now the mystery deepens.
An interesting choice. Okay, I'm going to relay mine just because.
Yes. Hey, have you ever had a recurring dream?
No, but because it mirrors some bit. I had a month-long recurring dream, like not every night, but most nights, of being chased by a mob of villagers, and that they would end up finding me. I hid different places,
Yeah.
different attics, different rooms,
Yeah.
bushes, hills,
Same,
all
same.
the rest. The dream would always end up the same way. I'd end up getting burnt at the stake,
Oh.
which is when I woke up. But I'd always wake up, as in it was always like you'd kind of feel the heat, you'd feel something, the smell of smoke or something like that, and be like, oh, and the heart be kind of going and stuff like that. Wasn't the part that stuck with me. The part that stuck with me was before that happened, I would always get branded, and that's the bit. So not just to get
The
chased.
punishment and the stigmatization.
But there is certainly a spirit, like as we're talking about trying to find ourselves and trying to come home and be at peace and all the rest. There's also definitely a spirit of mine that is resists the chase.
Yeah. And now that you mention it, another one that comes, which is, I know it's fairly common, is like flying.
Yeah.
But I always imagine like in a similar type of field as we are now, but I'm able to run, and eventually like try to pick up altitude. And but it can be like, it's an effort. I remember like it's very similar to the way you try to fly in Mario Bros. Like see, like you have to like press the right combination of skills so that you can fly and glide for a bit. And
Yeah.
then you have to do it at the right moment so that you can keep on bouncing back. So that was the feeling that I had, like sometimes like it's really an effort, sometimes like, and I remember having that dream for maybe 3 or 4 times at different years. And the first time I would not really take off, or maybe I would take off for just a meter or two. Oh, look at that, the horses are curious about us. Well, at least my story, or my dream. And then I think the last time or the before that, I was able to control my flight. I was able to fly and land on trees, and it would not be perfect, but it would be really good enough. So my interpretation was that whatever I was trying to nurture as a skill, I was getting proficient at it.
Cool.
So don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but those horses are calling us. Hello, horses. You look magnificent. I kindly greet you. Hello. You seem to be a bit more shy now. Trying not to step on Sony. They seem young, colorful. Well, thank you for meeting me.
So you made friends?
Well, they seem to be young, curious, but a bit edgy. But my hands were tingling when I approached them. And it seems like it was far too outside of their comfort zone. So this spot here is a bit more warm. I don't know what is that.
I don't know. Up here you can see where the house is.
Yeah.
The piece you need to remember is that you flick and pick. So
Why
you
the
have to,
flicking?
you
To
have
see if it's
to-
real in non-plastic?
It's to spread the spores.
Ah, I see, of course.
So even though we are a bit late, you can see that, see all this milk thistle that's all dried
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
So they should be, like they should all be in bloom basically.
Mm.
And that's your prime time.
For mushroom or for picking the blooms of the thistle?
Both.
Oh.
Milk thistle is really good for your liver, I believe it is.
Yeah,
Or is it your kidney?
yeah, that's what also I heard that.
It's one
I
of
think
the
it's
two.
liver.
And you can see there's a lot around in spaces.
I don't know that red one that I've seen over there.
I wouldn't advise.
No, I'm not picking it up, but I'm just... Sometimes I know the names even though I know I should not be picked, but this one, it's cute. See, right here is... Feels like I'm stepping on a very big furry animal. Like a bear, gentle bear. There's more moss. You said that you had regular ayahuasca experiences?
Yearly,
Yearly.
roughly. It's a gift to myself to try and...
Is that medium, low, or high doses, or it changes all the time, or?
Yeah, it depends. It's kind of up to myself, I suppose.
And in 1 year, you're able to integrate whatever was there?
Well, I can remember my very first experience, which is a couple of years ago, and that was, I'm not a very visual person, so like there wasn't a lot of reflection, a lot of meditation, but there was one visual that stuck out, which was an old woman around a campfire, just laughing at me. And ayahuasca obviously makes you feel quite sick.
Yeah.
So I was kind of struggling with this, and I was like, oh, this feels awful. Like, you know, I'm going to get sick, whatever else. And I couldn't. And I was like, okay, look, while I'm here, and it was just her laughing. I was like, okay, while I'm here, I was like, okay, if you have something, I'm here to receive, because I'm after spending the last like 10, 15 minutes, and this seems to be something more, and like, am I really going to be in front of something that's, or that's, I consider at least beyond me? just thinking about my stomach. So I was like, no, stoic, hold the fort, like, you know, I got this. It's like, okay. And again, just continuously laughing. And I was like, oh, and I did that again for another like 10 minutes. And then I was like, okay, nope, like if it's going like, and the thing that came into my head was, you can take this from me, but you're not going to take the whole experience, because the whole experience was quite revelatory for me, because it kind of shook my harsh, purely materialistic sort of view. I was like, holy crap, like relationships are quite important. Again, relationships to everything, like we're on about here, like to plants and animals and to everything else. It's like, okay, we are living off this earth. We're not here to purely extract. And it very much got me into kind of that space. And I was like, okay, so if you want to take this, you can take this. And it's like, again, ha 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 ha. And again, I was just kind of like, okay, like if you're not going to, again, like each of these lasted like 5-10 minutes. I was like, okay, and again, like set into it. And I was like, what am I here to receive? Like, what can I? As in, like, I humbly ask, like, you know, then still nothing, still laughing. So then I ended up getting up, because I was like, okay, I feel like maybe it's not going to be, maybe I need to go to the toilet, maybe like whatever else. And I was like, oh, like whatever. So I got up and I walked out, and I was like, I give up. Like this is, but again, this voice was still in my head of like laughing. And I was like, and the moment I said I give up, I just puked. I was outside at this stage. And I was laughing as I was puking. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
I said, like, really?
Yeah.
And basically my takeaway was from that was just, you foolish human, you think you have it.
Yeah.
You think you have the stoic practice, you think you have the surrender, you think you have, like, you keep going between the two, but it's just like, who are you to think that either side is right, or that you know this moment? And it's like, and the minute I surrendered, it just came out, which was really funny. And then I went back inside and I sat down, and it was kind of like, okay, so I'm ready. Like, you know, thank you for kind of, it's like, I'm ready. And it's like, nope. And still just this laughing. I was like, sure, you got rid of it. Like, you know, it's just like, if you want to go deeper and all of the rest, you have to go back up. So I think I waited another like, whatever, again, we'll say 10-minute chunk or something like that. And then I ended up going back up to the shaman and just being like, okay, is it okay? And he was like, yep, no worries. Took another cup then, sat back down on the mat, and she went. And again, like there was loads of kind of like stuff to reflect on, and loads of stuff that I kind of digested during that. But that snippet of her just laughing at me stuck with me for, like, obviously. So integration within the years, like that was years ago, and I'm still integrating that of just being like, ha ha ha, you silly human. I'm like,
an elder feminine figure. That puts you back with a reality check that we barely. That's what I was saying when we're still so young. I mean, I'm in my mid-40s, but it's like, how can I claim to understand anything? And yet, you know, we need some direction, but it's like, it reminds me of what Joe Rogan said about, he had something similar, where he said somebody was just laughing at him, and he got it as for himself. The message was like, oh, he takes himself too seriously. So, yeah, because I had something on 5-MeO DMT, low dose, beautiful, poetic. Medium dose, oh, I'm dead. And I had like, oh, that's it, I'm gonna die on a Wednesday afternoon. And just absurd like that, you know, shit. And then of course you come back, and
after all that struggle.
And then third doses, I was obviously underestimated the fact that when you increase the dose, that's the one chapter I must have skipped in all my research when I prepare for this thing for 2 or 3 years. The fact that when you increase the dosage, it's exponential, not logarithmic, and
Certainly.
One tiny difference in the setting makes a massive side side
Yes.
turn of the rocket ship. And I had a whole roller coaster of what could have been better called as a challenging trip. But what came out of that, among many things, was first, obviously, an increased sensitivity, the ability to talk to trees, which I feel like I lost, but I'm trying to rekindle without having to go through another round of psychedelics. Much more sensuality, and since then I'm kind of like, of course, afraid of going through that again, because I'm still a father and I need to function and to pick up
Yeah.
kids at school and stuff like that. And it was also very challenging for my girlfriend to see me collapse out of love/grief that has never been integrated up until then. So, and it would hit me that now the most psychedelic thing is music. You know, like you had in that festival.
Yep.
I may come across as like, hey, you know, there's this song from this band who really deeply resonate for 2-3 days in me. And I'm healing and I'm maybe crying and it just feels like, wow. And so I don't know if people get that out of psychedelics. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But that's why I keep going back to, gosh, grief is it's horrible, but what do you do with the joy? Like, joy is innocent, but I wonder if, see, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to ruin the party. I don't want to being this dark entity that brings people down. Yet, I know that is a good teacher.
Yeah.
So I guess I am an elder in the making, where you start to have glimpses of that, like when you are a young adult and you start to have glimpses of your next chapter in life. But but I don't feel like, gosh, I'm not judging, right? I'm kind of like, wow, are you able to integrate ayahuasca or stuff every year? Because I was discombobulated for 1.5 years towards but I was not depressed. I was just basically reverberating those insights week on, week off. And yeah.
So you think a yearly
Well, either your tolerance, obviously your setting allows it to do that. And the fact that I did it alone, you know, in between errands, is clearly the difference. But at the same time, it's also a different medicine.
True.
It's also, yeah. So I'm kind of like, and that's the other thing is like, some people are, let's say, more shamanic-like, which means like they have the body to be able to do this deepening psycho, how did they call it? Psychonauts.
Oh.
To explore these different things from there and hopefully integrate it. And I'm clearly not any of those because I feel like, I mean, I'm not pedestrian either, but it feels like, oh, that one phone call I got with the mystery feels pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yet, this is what I feel like. see, part of it was like I was hoping to be in touch with a deep, loving energy,
Yeah.
and I never did that. So I do get it right here, right now, in those moments where I told you, like, I look at a doodle for my sons or a story, and I feel blessed, and that's where right now with our psychedelics, it gets me there. But I have this very basic theory now that says, if I had a decent, good life, then it's grief that the psychedelics are going to give you. If you had a very traumatic life, psychedelics are going to bring you hope with love. So it's kind of like the fact that I was blessed in my life felt like, okay, now you got it all figured out, let's bring you some grief. And if you had been traumatized, they're the ones who say like the answer is here, and oh, so much, and I just like, whoa. So I'm sure it's incomplete, and I don't know what you think of that.
I don't know if it's as kind of
Probably not.
predictable or structured as that.
Yeah.
Because because I haven't necessarily had that like warm, loving sense to it. I've been awe-inspired. I can remember like going out and looking up at the moon and just being like, even the moon is kind of like a symbol or an icon that if you speak with it, you can have a relationship to it, and therefore, like even that, it's a celestial body from like how many miles away. If even that can be some form of connection where you're like, oh, it's a full moon, oh, it's a half moon, like, you know, even these like very secular kind of like passing moments where you're noticing the passing of time beyond just a clock, and you're just like, oh no, there's actually time passing, like, you know, the moon, like we are the last full moon. Oh, I can remember what I did the last full moon. It's like where if you're, I can remember what I did yesterday at 12, but it doesn't go back beyond that because a clock or a watch just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So it can hold space for like a longer cycle. So I definitely had like a moment where that kind of, like that was a bit of a realization. I was like, oh, again, all of this stuff that just kind of broke apart my kind of super materialistic sort of, I'm going to be academic and I'm going to figure out and I'm going to find the answer, and very hubristic sort of tendencies. But I think it's only ever offered questions. So I think it's kind of like Vervaeke's reciprocal narrowing.
Yeah.
As in life kind of like naturally does that.
Yeah.
And then there's modes and things that you can kind of like, oh yeah, I've 3 modes, so clearly I'm not stuck in one. And then I think when I do return to that sort of setting, now I do it like with a shaman, and it's in like a group setting, and it's definitely a space that gets held. They play music throughout the night, like it carries a rhythm. Like if you've done breath work, there's a difference between doing breath work on your own than there is when you do it in a group.
Yeah.
Like there's something about the group that kind of holds space. But what it serves is to open back up. We can use kind of like Jung's archetypes, like open me back up to the 12 if I might have narrowed down to 10 or something like that. But really it goes beyond just the 12, just being like, hey, by the way, the 12 were only a map anyway. It was only a way to understand, like best understand from a good perspective, and it's useful as hell. But as in, that was never meant to be the word that descended from God. Like it just, it wasn't that. It was a human attempt to kind of understand. So it's only really ever kind of asked questions.
Yeah.
Like I can share another experience. Like I had an experience where, again, there's so many bits on the side. I can actually show you my notes and stuff like that, where it goes through. I wrote poetry and stuff like that from it. But there was one situation where I went meta, as in I was kind of like, okay, there was one thought, and I was like, and I tend to have to journal because if I don't get it out of my head, it can kind of loop, and that's not pleasant. Or at least it's a loop, like, you know. So I'd write this down, and I was like, okay, that's a thought. And I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to write that one down. And then another one came through, and it was kind of like, okay, interesting, you know, thank you. And it's like, okay, but I'm really just going to try and find center. I was like, it was kind of like, for Vaki's like regressive eye. I was like, who's the eye that sees? Like, what am I? And they end up coming out with this phrase of, I'm the thing that moves despite knowing.
Oh, yeah.
So despite knowing that maybe there's no progress and there's only ever trade-offs, it's like, okay, but we're still going to pretend as if progress exists because it's the thing that moves. Or there's no reason that it has to be difficult, and yet I'm going to do the difficult thing because I think it helps. And it's like, and even though we have no idea, but do the cold plunge, go barefoot, or like whatever else it is, it's like, do we know for a fact? It's like, no, but I'm the thing that moves despite knowing. And that came from this thing of, I had a thought, like that was of interest, and I was like, okay, no, I'm going to put these to the side. And at some point, these start becoming pages, and then it just zooms out. And I realize, holy crap, like there's like 7 or 8 different thoughts kind of going at the same time. And I can dig into any one of them, and it just started to zoom out. And I realized, holy crap, it's just pages and pages and pages. And kept zooming out until it became like this, it was all pages, but it was almost like a pile of leaves. Like it was just infinite pages. And I was like, I could think about anything right now.
Yeah.
And the thing was, none of those thoughts were me. It was very much an egoless sort of space.
Yeah.
So I could be the warrior, I could be the everyman, I could be the outlaw, I could be all of these things, like pages, 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 but zoom all the way out, and it's like, but they're just pages. They're just a thought, there's something, they're just a moment of left brain. And the true me, or true you, or the true person is the right brain, if we use Emil Gilchrist for this, like. And that knocked me on my ass. That one knocked me out. And again, like, that wasn't love and it wasn't grief, but it was just this kind of like, oh yeah, kind of remembering.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm kind of so interested in this kind of like peek behind the curtain sort of stuff, where it's just like, we can have these thoughts, we can have the stories, we can have the music. But like the great music, when you listen to it, is when the person knows the song, they know the beat, and then they do it suboptimally in the best way. Even for like chess players, like there's an optimal way to play, but if you play optimally, you're predictable. You have this for like poker players, again, but you're predictable. And the minute you're predictable, well then someone's going to come along and just play a little bit off base, but it's the perfect counter to your predictable optimum, therefore they end up winning. So the true music is this kind of suboptimal optimal.
Where it's keeping
where you're kind of like
a dissonance there, or
well, you're bringing in the trickster. You're bringing in that element of like, hey, by the way, I'm the best chess player in the world. You get like Magson.
Yeah, Magnuson.
And he's like, his whole thing is basically, I want to play a true game of chess.
Yeah.
And the only way for me to get to play an actual true game of chess is I need to knock you way out. And then we get to a point where we're just like, and then we can start playing chess. Because then it's really based on your knowledge of how the pieces move, how they cover each other, how the board kind of shapes itself and all of the rest.
Yeah.
But I can't get there while you're stuck in these, you read it from a textbook, here's my open, here's the progression, here's how I pin you down, like whatever else. And he's just like, no, I'm going to do this shit move. I was like, okay, but it knocks you off. and I'm going to do another one. It's like, what are you going to do? And it's like, until you then have to almost come into it, and then and then he loves it. He's just like, this is where I play, but it's actual play.
Yeah.
So it's a roundabout way of saying it, but it's basically just not to take life so serious.
Yeah.
And that tends to be why I return. Now, I hold wholeheartedly to Terence McKenna's phrase of, the better you do it, the less often you have to do it. I think that's the best motto for any person that's interested in mental exploration or whatever else. But because again, I don't want to become that person that's just like, that was an amazing experience, I can't wait for the next one. Then I'm just gonna, it's just like the people that did it for summer holidays. I'm gonna work my ass off, I'm gonna break myself so that I get 1 week of a break in the middle of summer. Like, this just makes no sense.
It's what comes to me is I'm fully with you there, and that experience of going meta fractal, like what comes to me is like, see, I keep saying godlike.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that I have no problem understanding that whatever that was God speaking through me. Therefore, I have no problem to say that I found an entry to what God feels. And of course, I know that I'm limited and not the God who understands everything. But when you get that fractal where you say, hey, these are these parallel lives, ideas that you're experimenting, and you can see all that through in its infinity, and it's all a game and it's absurd, and it's like, do you have like it's not a problem, like what stops you from thinking that you may be godlike at that moment? Or maybe what is you see, when you think that you are this moving without knowing, is that what you said?
The thing that moves despite knowing.
Despite knowing, like, which is foolish and yet thou like.
Yeah.
Which is movement. Just carry on through whatever. Where are you on that? To understand that, God is not perfect, but it's still beautiful and still God like that, and playing and childlike. At the same time, it's like still have a separation.
I suppose for a while, I had this exploration where I was like, there is, no matter the person, there is a guru for them. Jeez, I don't know if that's right. Like, it's not really the way I would have phrased it.
Complex.
But there is the person, like my teacher might be just the worst person on earth for someone else's teacher. Mm-hmm. It doesn't speak to them, it doesn't do whatever else. But they'll have another teacher that teaches them, and there is kind of like a trust that it goes towards some form of unity, that we're all progressing towards being better, more full humans, and maybe my teacher will be their teacher in 20 years, or their teacher will be my teacher in 20 years, like whatever it is. They're in movement at the moment, and I'm in the kind of ideas space, and I need to go back over and learn movement, and maybe they need to come over and learn like the ideas space, all of this sort of stuff. And I was just looking at, this was like COVID times and stuff, or I was kind of coming out of it, and everyone was asking questions and of themselves, of their life, of their community, all of this sort of stuff. And it was very hard for anyone to get any answers, because there was just, because we're in a meaning crisis, that type of thing. Like, we should all, pro-vaccine. Why? Because for the greater good, and don't you want to save people and be a good sheep in the flock? And then the opposite is like, never ever. And it's like, why? It's like, because never to be controlled or something like that. And all of these, as in like the internet took off during COVID, as in like pluralism came into its full flower, or actually no, but it flowered for sure. As in like it's still flowering and you just get all of these different ideas. And just this concept then locally, like for the people around me, I was just like, okay, community and this whole domicide thing of people traveling all around the place, but somehow people are wanting to start coming back to each other now. And it's like, okay, but there's no there to kind of come back to. And this idea of, if I can be fully spiritual or something like that, I can, through Christianity, like the self-emptying, the kind of like to constantly empty such that you're able to receive what is appropriate in any given moment, that is right for the moment, right for the people or the person or like whatever else. And I was trying to figure this out. There was a few like conflicts and stuff. One or two conflicts in particular where I was just like, I'm not trying to hold on to any kind of bitterness here or trying to hold on to any. I was like, I'm just looking, how can we work? Like, if this is community, and like just pretend as if like we're just stuck with these 20 people and like this is the community, as in like it just happened all at once. COVID chose the moment, this is the moment, and you just are stuck with the 20 people closest to you. And there's going to be one or two people in that group where it's just been like, for some reason, for whatever reason, we find it difficult. It's like, okay, no worries, Sol. And it's like, and I can blame the other person, but I never want to scapegoat. So I'm not trying to blame the other person. So I'm okay, how can I adapt, kind of, but how can I commune with this person over the mystery in a way that isn't, and now like as in, obviously my way of thinking is a little bit abstract. And some people just don't like that. It's like, okay, good, no worries. So let's like bring it down to earth. Let's like purely just trying to make it material, trying to make it secular, or trying to make it religious, or trying to make it, and again, which religion? And like all of this stuff is like, okay, can I be the liminal person who's able to kind of traverse over these multiple sectors?
So you're Gandalf-like.
Kind of. And in that, there was never really a question of like, I am God. Partially, maybe because I never succeeded. But I don't, maybe if I succeeded, maybe this question then would be so relevant and I'd be some like cult leading person or whatever else. But I didn't. And obviously it'd be, and obviously I didn't, because no one can. And it just landed with me. It was like, okay, to aim to be flexible and to really reach people and to really try and be open and stuff like that is admirable. It is what I admire and it is what I aspire towards. But for some people, I'm just not going to be their teacher.
Yeah.
Just like my teacher isn't their teacher in this moment and perhaps never will be. Maybe it's just not their moment. Maybe it was their parents' teacher and now they're on a different chapter and they're finished with this. They have it in a different way. Or maybe it'll be for their 5 generations down where that's when they'll come to this or something like that. But there's something where it's just like, in this moment, in this time, there is some tension that just has to be allowed and some bit of, this doesn't go. Now there has to be like tolerance, like I'm not, again, never to scapegoat, and to love and to say, hey, by the way, I don't know what you serve in the world, but all I know is like that my service doesn't serve you, so whatever you can do with that. And I think that realization has just kind of just totally taken out any
resentment.
No, it's just taken out any points or thorns of just being like, I could be the savior, or like the kind of godlike sort of thing. It's just, I was like, no, there's no part of me that.
So you're saying that you could only call yourself godlike if the pudding that you're producing was making sparks, kind of thing. And you don't see those sparks, therefore you're still humble and think that you visited a real realm where things are different, but and try to make most of that. Is that fair, or I'm missing something? I could rephrase.
So I would say no, like I would just, the only caveat I suppose I would put in is that I do still kind of hold on to that there's a spark of the divine in everyone.
Yeah.
Again, like even to that person that can't collaborate in this moment, they're serving something. And in this situation, I could actually see what they were serving. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. I was like, you're like, it's so good that you're able to offer this out to the world. It's awesome. But just I can't collaborate with you for what, like for just whatever translation reasons. And in that, so I see a spark of the divine. I still know that I've something to offer. So there is something that I'm still trying to. Well, there's also the surrendering and all the rest too. Again, this comes back to like G number 1 and G number 2, the God inside and the God outside type stuff. That's going down a rabbit hole. But which voice do we listen to? Our authentic self, or are we humble and listen to the outside energies or spirits? So, does that answer your question? You're asking here.
I think so.
Because you're asking then about returning to the retreats, going back to medicine, and kind of having that experience of not knowing or kind of questioning or something like that.
I get the Mecca aspect, you know, our return to the source type of thing, return to, you know, who is your teacher, right? And you have your podcast and mentors there, and the psychedelics that are a good teacher, and that feels right in that context. In my case, I felt like for that one download I got, I was so discombobulated that I don't see myself doing that every year. Other than, I know that I went to microdosing now since a year and a half to see what it's like. It definitely helps me being more grounded. I do it kind of 3 months on, 3 months off. I guess I need to have a moment where I'm really free of logistical obligations to be able to try whether it's LSD or psilocybin on a higher dosage to see in the right setting to feel like, hey, what am I missing? Or just contemplation, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe in a year or 2 or 3 and I do feel very grateful of the fact that it has cracked open some things to make me peer into the liminal in the mundane, like the magical of this little welcoming acre of land. The fact that you see, like listening to you, me kneeling down and being even more grounded, and you be able to take distance instead of just being on a Zoom or on a phone call. You see, like that multidimensionality of the conversation, it just feels like, so refreshing. See that you can meander and wonder or inquire a shroom or a moss or a herb, and I'm visiting that just feels like, it's right it, like I imagine that. See, you know how they represented the internet in the early days? How do you represent the internet on an ad to make sure you subscribe to whatever provider it is? It was always this green landscape with an old man with a young dude and another guy from different planets and talking like that. See, like right now, we're having kind of that, and the fact that I was able to meet you or encounter you and come here, it just feels like, yeah, this is perfect landscape, perfect stage, and this is your branch of reality meeting my branch of reality, but with both inquiring what is it that, how we can bring light and enjoy it without taking it too seriously. And I just feel like, oh, so that's why I don't think they're the answer. Yet the setting are extremely powerful, and I think if I didn't have all these stoic practices beforehand, I would have been beyond repair with anxiety. But the fact that I was able to have philosophy as a grounding practice to just understand, checks and balances that helped me to just, that was, yeah. I'm glad that I did the work for then to let go and do that thing instead of having a teenager doing drugs and they're just like into nihilism as opposed to transcend the, hey, you know what, it's just a game and it's cool. The second type of nihilism.
Yeah.
And now everything becomes psychedelic. The music that you witnessed and the concert.
Yeah.
The same like when I listened to that YouTube video about that song that just, the words reverberated in my body all throughout. And I was just like a regular Tuesday morning. So it's just like, for that I'm grateful. See, the fact that I feel like I need to touch that grass and it's nothing. Yet it's, look at that. I feel my body is now a bit more tired. But this is like, makes me hungry. Hungry in all senses. Because it's 4 p.m. now. We had 4 hours of that. And I don't know if there's still more to go. I guess we have to go back to the car. Yeah. This is cool. Oh yeah, we have still more topics to go on to. And it's okay if we keep it silent. Well, I feel like whoever owns this piece of land should hopefully feel grateful with all their struggles. Yeah, even the poop from the sheep is cute. Yeah, it makes me want to have access to something like that.
How do you mean?
Well, I love to have the ability to come to a little bit of non-flat land with bushes and hear chirping and animals nearby, where I could just explore ideas like that with myself, with friends.
Got you, yeah. Well, I will say when we're talking to Gavin tomorrow that you'll get as much conversation as you want out of him.
Cool. Because he's
living that.
Ah, yeah.
As in has his own space.
Yeah.
Is pretty self-sufficient.
Ooh.
Goes down to the markets, does all of this. Respect. There's a certain kind of community around him that very much values the self-sufficiency. One of them is down at the markets as well. He's does all these chutneys and all these things.
See?
And they're
I don't want to go to Mars. I want to do chutneys.
And they just, like the whole communing over the mystery of just being like, yeah, I don't know either. It feels about right. I feel aligned, or I feel kind of a bit out of it maybe, or whatever it is, but just communing over that kind of humanity of it all. And
so
he'll go big, he'll go small, he'll go like whatever. So
he lives in the neighborhood.
He's about 15-20 minutes out.
Okay. Is the land expensive here?
We were actually checking out a house out in that area. and it seems to be, so he keeps selling it to me that it's a place where there's quite a lot of people
From not here.
maybe kind of people just seem to be coming there with the intention to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And he's just like, don't know why, don't know what, but he's just like, yeah, there's a few of us around, and we kind of
selfish
share
reasons.
what we can, and we kind of do what we can, and we're just trying to build that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Build a house, build the water filters, build whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went out and we were looking at a house out that direction, and it just seems to be a space where the older generation lived there, and they just must be all of a very similar age. But there was like 5 or 6 houses going for sale on the one road, and I was like, what? Like, it was kind of weird. It felt strange.
It's haunted. That's why the property prices.
Almost. There was about like 15, maybe 20 houses, and you get like 5 or 6 that were all for sale at once. Now, I suppose this house had like a granny flat and everything in it, so it just had that. It obviously did house that sort of space of taking care of the elderly. So maybe I'm just projecting that story onto all the houses, but there is a few places going over there. And price-wise, I don't know, for Ireland, just in the details, I suppose it's like 200 to 300, roughly.
Yeah.
But you can go under that.
Because for that price, that we get just a normal house in the Netherlands, no land. I mean, of course, it's a smaller country and it's in the heart. But I always fantasize on Portugal because it's similar type of vibe as here. I can surf, I can get my own hill and valley for myself. Plus, community country is very open. They speak multiple languages. They're very welcoming of foreigners investing into the land and tourism and retreats, and so that was my first. The only thing that worries me is forest fires and water supplies.
Yeah.
And of course, it's probably not perfect. Maybe bureaucracy is, but
sure.
You choose your own struggle. The only thing, of course, is every time I try, to look at the details, it's just feels like an incredible amount of effort from my brain, because obviously I'm good at abstract thinking. Now I have to bargaining real estate and see all this kind of thing. That's a different, gosh, I'm being romantic here. I need to gather a set of people that are doing this, and then I can rise above it. So it feels like I need to first find the people, because I don't want to live on my own.
Yeah.
Who does? I don't want to be the old grumpy hermit. I want to honor the land. I keep having that smell of the Florida water. It's just lovely. It just peppers my thoughts.
This is something actually that I've kind of struggled with, or it's been quite an active conversation between friends and family and stuff, which is how long and how big is a cohesive community?
Yeah.
As in, so obviously I'm here and have lived in this house for 2 years now, and I'm trying to partake in some of the community sort of things, whether it's going to church or music or even just attending like the arts festival and all of this sort of stuff, but just to be a familiar face. So I went down to the markets and sold some of the Florida water and stuff like that. So at this stage now, like, some faces are kind of familiar, and it's kind of nice to have that level. But it just seems like there's many tiers to this, and so from your perspective, or from that vantage point or aim that you're going for, of finding the community and then finding the land, my worry is of finding the cohesive community of, I don't know, whatever, 5 to 10 families or something like that, of people who get along and contribute to each other and are able to commune, but then not having so as I was saying earlier about the FINA, like going from tribe to tribe, which would be one mechanism, doesn't have to be that, or else just the familiar faces in the town. That's me. But not having the nesting, like the Russian doll sort of
society
aspect to it, because I don't know, I suppose walled garden would be kind of would be the thing. And if those walls are a bit too firm, then it causes its own problems as well. So my whole thing is like, this is why they go on about like the axial revolution and stuff, is because there had to be a new mechanism for building a trusting society that could thrive in the new world of, like, 500 BC or whatever. So it just strikes me that we're, like, I do kind of agree that we're at a similar kind of mark, and that there's tools available now, and that there's a hunger, obviously, for trust, because it seems to be like we're after losing all of the mechanisms that we did have, as Nietzsche said. So I do have like a fairly hefty question of what that looks like, but I suppose just like on the tangible note, something a bit more earthed, which is how long does it take to develop those maybe lower connections, or like as in just not as strong connections, and how connected, like how many Russian dolls are in this nest.
Well, I stumbled across, don't know if you know Alexander Bard, I may have mentioned him before. He mentioned that very bold idea, / very old, of digital monasteries. And that seduced me. When I looked at it, there was only one, and it was in the Baltics, and it was a very like a monastery, like a Christian thing. And you would go there, you would do your practices, maybe work from there for 3 months, 6 months, a year at a time. So what I find appealing is, like, imagine a bunch of us buy some land. Obviously within an hour to hours drive from an airport, right? So that means we get a land, and we have a space for people to come in, help do the dishes, cook, and maybe they gather in the morning for whatever practice they want to have, from liminal practices, meditation, breath work, authentic relating, workshop they want to run, and in the afternoon, or any other, right? They do their emails and their Zoom calls and stuff like that, and whatever projects they're working on. And I would be really super flexible like that. So that means you're hosting people. And I think the guys at in Bergerac, Life Itself, I think it's called, they're doing things like that at a price. So it's kind of an ongoing type of retreat.
Yeah.
And I feel like interesting to explore because, you know, I guess you set up an intention, right? You see whatever you offer, but you can bring your own expertise. You have other people that you go with to explore that practices. And then there's also a time for you to show up into your logistical aspect. And you go back and forth between the marketplace and the mountain where you have all those downloads and help each other, you know, be there for each other. So the thing is, like, there are not that many examples to follow, which means when I start I'm gonna get it wrong. You're a busy man.
If I can turn that off. Not at all. Demand me never. Aye.
So basically I provide the villa or the landscape.
Yeah.
3 tiny houses is a crowd. People come and go. Fresh energy. And you have time on your own. And hopefully a dynamic gets created with people happy to replace each other, and well, maybe they may be resident artists and DJs that stay there. So
Okay. And then okay, so you have a
I find
family,
it really
like,
bold because because it mimics the city state, but even smaller.
yeah.
And through the internet, you're connected still to the greatness of Babylon, with all their demons too, just rolling algorithms. But it's this kind of thing where eventually, you know, going back to this mundane / spiritual ritual, in touch with the land. Epicurus was all about that. Do something you love, do it with friends, and have a time for yourself to reflect on whatever happened in the week. And if you have those 3 elements, you have a happy life, or happier. So obviously that's the white paper.
So
It
can I
might
ask,
be really hard to achieve.
yeah, does a digital monastery work with family?
I guess so. Well, that's the other thing. He seems to be saying that, right? Whoa, what comes out is like, you take care of kids as a dumb bad number type of thing,
Yeah.
which means, yes, you should be present for your children as a couple, but may not be, right? Which means you can experiment whatever works for you, but when you know that the children are taken care of, there's less pressure to be with each other, and of course you have to nurture it, not take it for granted, not try to think like, yeah, I can be polyamorous and that's the answer to all my... No, it's a bit more complex than that. It may be for you, maybe not. But anyway, I like the fact that he says, and I don't know what this is working for me or not, all right, but yeah, go deep on our relationship I acknowledge there are seasons. Often when the kids are teenagers, the need to be with each other is lesser. If the flame or the energy has shifted, you can take some distance, doesn't mean you're no longer together, right? The community can tolerate that. And perhaps another cycle can start with somebody else, maybe not. But it's this kind of thing that I feel like intriguing, but I don't want to romanticize and call it that this is the way to go. It's just like,
Howdy.
hey. So that's where I am out. So we're back to where
We're back
greeted
to the
land.
base camp on this side at least.
So we're back, and you have a white paper for, rekindling what we do in the countryside. Tell me more.
So you're going on about digital monasteries.
Yeah.
Okay, so because of the work that I do, and it's working with people and trying to build people up and stuff like that, and there's a lot of people kind of coming into that work, I suppose. And there's a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
People who take care of people tend to gas out a wee bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't give like a material sort of reward. Like if you think about it, people looking after people 100 years ago was just charity, and no one would have expected, and you would have been seen as corrupt if you wanted material reward. And yet everyone's like, they're a good person, they're working really hard, so why is it so hard to buy a house? Why is it so hard to live and do all of this stuff? So with all of that, there's quite a high turnover. So a lot of staff would be under a certain age. They'd be quite young.
Yeah.
And then because of that, when you have young people looking after vulnerable people or homeless people or people in need of any sort of type, you're missing the wisdom.
Yeah.
And you also have a certain sense of they will have travelled for the job, so they're not local, which means that their ability to know about like mountains like this, they can invite people to go and just be like, I've never been there before, like let's go, but it's a tourist sort of destination at that point. And you don't get the meditations, or you don't get any stories basically. Where if you say, hey, there's this lake and I went there over the weekend and there's a beautiful sunset, like dear Lord, it's amazing, have you been lately? That's going to make someone more likely to go.
Yeah.
Instead of being stuck on their phone or whatever else. So because of that, then the idea is basically to have an agency to start.
Agency.
Yeah. To have an agency. So the agency would be, again, because there's such a high turnover, there's always a demand for people looking after people, and it kind of comes in seasons. Basically, where if one person goes, then 3 people go, and it's really hard to hire 3 people all at once. Hire the one person, could have done it no prob, but when 3 people go, it's kind of like, okay, for a month we need to get just an extra few people in to help out. So hence the agency. But the idea then would be to start it that way as a business.
Make
sure that it
being
was
narcissistic here.
Make sure that it's viable, as in just economically, I suppose, that it balances out. And then also make sure that it's viable community-wise, that we start gathering people in this space where they're not the ones that burn out. They're the ones that are able to do this for 10, 20 years plus. And you start getting, it's like, okay, so we're here for a while. Now what are we all about? We're going to maybe do some of these practices, have this ecology where we're trying to make sure that we're wise people, mature people, so that even though we're materially not getting rewarded for this, we're growing and we have a sense of purpose and a sense of progress towards something that we want. So that's kind of trying to make sure it's viable. So then number 2 is trying to get people who are, sorry, there's 3 stages.
Sure.
Stage number 2 is then trying to get the mature people in. So the people who have been at it for 10, 20 years, and trying to get them to do workshops, trying to get them to teach, to mentor, to blueprint, but really around these practices, like what is it about them that has made them able to, what's their philosophy basically? What is it that they value? And when you have like an elder that then values, oh, you are becoming more mature, well then that's going to help you value it yourself. And then this also lets the more mature person to continue their work, build a community, and also be able to pass on the knowledge basically, because there's just no transfer, as in like you go through college, but that's not like, that's
the beginning.
You learn it's the beginning.
Yeah, it's your driver's license preparation, not how to learn how to drive on the road. Yeah.
But it's also like legislation. It's a lot of the kind of the crunch of it all, like the details that have to be done. So that's stage number 2. And then stage number 3 is to have our own house, our own community that is like overstaffed. So there's too many people, so it's still an agency. So whenever there's any trouble around the place, we can offer people out, no problem at all. And then whenever everything's kind of quiet, the water's still, they come back and we work on ourselves, we do all the practices, we do all of these bits, and you have this kind of flow or flux to it. And then ideally, like ideal, we then start having the house where it has a purpose of its own, where so then this gets into my Dialogos Storytelling World Cup with AI generated images. And if you've seen Sora 2, it's only around the corner. But in the sense that, you know, as we circle of virtue, like all of these movies, all of these stories, don't try and lecture you. Like a good story doesn't tell you the lesson.
Yes.
But it just circles around something that's important, and where you find yourself in the story then is where you are in your journey. So if we can start developing stories like that through practices, it doesn't just have to be Dialogos, but through these practices, and it's like, we're the house that produces this, the kids come up in this, or the people, or whoever, kind of like a healing centre. Again, try not make it cultish. So yeah, Jamie Wheel's 20 questions, probably really relevant here. But, and that we're able to help out, we're also able to mentor each other, so that the young staff are able to kind of grow as well. Like, you know, that's not just pure service that they get served to, and then that the older generation is able to offer service, I suppose, like offer what they've learned over the years, and for it to be valued and for it to be given attention. That's my paper.
Whoa. Well, there's quite a lot. It's super ambitious. It's education time for Andre. Super ambitious. And it feels like, for that rocket ship, you see, you have those 3 stages, and see, contemplating that for all that you might be doing only 10% of any of these things will be a success. The fact that it's always unfinished and something else going to destroy it, reshape it, corrupt it. Because all the great projects started like with this 10-point plan. But it's, definitely want to know more about it as things get concrete, and see how I can help pushing it further.
Next year is when we're going to be looking at that step number 1. So around this time next year, and then once that gets up and running, then we'll be kind of like 2 and 3 kind of
Yeah,
mix
of
in.
course.
So the first is just to make sure it's viable, that we find something to work. That you need to be able to invite people into something, you know.
Yeah.
And then if they, it'd be really cool then to get like craftsmen and stuff like that in, or any sort of people who weren't in it, as in like in my area of work or whatever, but that just brought their own whatever business or anything like that. So your digital monastery could still certainly be part of this, because then you also have basically mentors for people, like, you know.
Yeah, because as I pass on my jiu-jitsu belts, I'll be in my early 50s if I'm not injured or anything like that. And then I feel like legit enough to be able to offer jiu-jitsu in a more playful way.
Yeah.
Among other things, movement related, plus storytelling, plus philosophy, plus vigils like this. It feels like it's all there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all, everybody has like this Swiss Army knife of skills that, you know, we can hop on, help each other, do some mini retreats, you know, little things we feel confident that in a safe setting for doing a bit of shadow work and authentic relating, and maybe climbing, and
one of my friends is doing, he's training and stuff like that for rock climbing.
that's it. That's like,
he loves that.
oh man, you're hooked.
Yeah.
Wow, and now we're kind of going back to the original valley where we started, and I don't know, the landscape seems more colorful to me, or more saturated. It could be just me, but it's a bit bittersweet, because we're kind of reaching the end. It's like we can see the end in 10 minutes.
But what a beautiful day.
Oh, so much has gone on. I mean, this is anybody's regular hike, but the sheep is leading the way. I have to say, this land has been good and kind to us, at least to me.
Certainly.
It's been wild. It's been before we started, you played a song in the car that was kind of Game of Thrones type of thing, but you also had another song that you play when you pick mushrooms, you say? Or do you have another song that you want to suggest as an ending track?
Nope, that's
for
the song.
this video.
That's a good one. It's on about connection. It's on about like the underworld that you don't see, and yet it's the kind of foundation of so much of the life, or diversity, or whatever else.
They forgot it's your day off.
Everyone is.
Yeah. So it's a local artist, or what?
No, this would be, I think they're called Beautiful Chorus. And they do a lot of kind of new spiritual music, or that kind of sound. But I like it.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, I get, as I check out, a sense of home, even though I'm far. But yeah, somebody said to me that home is not a place, it's something you do. So definitely like connecting with you and the land and myself, and holding that tension, the confusion, honoring the mercurial energy of my body. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Embracing all the colors of that flavor is the journey. Thank you for being my first host.
No worries.
I looking forward to do this again.
Certainly.
And
Well, we're going to go off for the evening now. We're going to go get some food.
yes,
Probably chat some more.
exactly. Yeah,
Meet up with some friends in the evening time.
exactly.
So it's the end of what people get to listen to, but
Yeah, exactly.
we still get to keep going.
Is there anything you wanna where can people find you? What's anything you want to share before?
Not really. As in, at the moment, it's very local. So there's nothing really going up. I'm not really publishing anything. I am trying to work on a book, so
Yeah.
if that, I don't know if I'll resolve that and just be happy with it myself, or if it'll be something that'll be like, I have to publish this, but for the last almost a year now, it's been very just off the internet, in the
Yeah.
world, which I suppose is why this kind of form of podcast is kind of interesting to me,
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, does making it in movement kind of, does that make it more local or bring more embodiment, make it more
Yeah.
3D, make it more something where I'll kind of re-engage again?
Yeah. I don't know where this is gonna lead me, but so far it's fun with all its imperfections. And yeah, gratitude, homecoming, and joy. Thank you, Carol Cole.
Carrickeel,
Carol Keel.
that's it.
Thank you, Carol Keel. I got more than I expected. And now I'm gonna carry this.
And just for anyone that's listening, he did the whole thing barefoot.
Most of it.
I did the important part barefoot, but he did the whole thing barefoot, which is pretty impressive.
Well, I think the land has been kind. It's not that rocky all the time and I've been avoided. And maybe I'll regret it tomorrow, but yeah,
Maybe,
yeah, it's
but maybe not.
maybe not.
Maybe you'll feel,
Yeah.
I don't know, wholesome.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sentient Trails, where we try to, speak whatever wisdom of the land happen to be, and spread some love and wisdom, and somehow help enjoy the struggles. I'll see you next time. Oh, you'll see me and hear me next time.
I wanna be free, so free, like a feather blowing through the breeze, like a bird in a tree, like a dolphin in the sea. I wanna fly high, so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I'll let it all go with a sigh. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming to rise and not to fall. Be at one with love and all. There is no high, no low. There's nowhere else to go except inside your heart and be just who you are. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama.